put anything into. From priceless art masterpieces to entire tanks. Isn't science fascinating? Soon, we will be able to produce them on an industrial scale using Professor Casada's drawings. This ingenious device creates pocket dimensions based on my unique properties. Just imagine what opportunities it opens up. You can move any volume of payload anywhere and whenever you want. Isn't it wonderful?
What's up, tankers? Let's get our teeth into the best scouts and raiders on tracks, or wheels. That's right, light tanks. To get the most from these nippy little vehicles, you'll need to practice and to brush up on view range and concealment. Not long ago, we did some videos about those, so check them out if you need to. The links are in the description. Lights are often quick and tricky to spot, and they can have high-caliber howitzers or even autocannons. Low-tier lights don't have rolls, and calling them scouts would be a stretch. They're versatile, and their characteristics can vary a lot, and so can their armor. You can fight in them like a medium or sometimes even a heavy tank. From about Tier 5 or 6 upward, that's no longer the case. At that point, you start getting some real niche specialists. They're raiders and scouts that spot for teammates. Lights also gain a shared trait. They can move without it affecting their concealment. Whether standing or moving, you still won't get spotted before the same distance. This vehicle class only has 2 roles: tracked versatile light tanks and wheeled ones. First, let's deal with the old faithful, and then later we'll get to the wheeled lights and how they differ from their tracked classmates. Light tank gameplay depends less on the role and more on your own play style. Think of it in terms of passive and active. Passive players settle in and capitalize on their concealment. Active ones monopolize the map with their movement. Any light tank can play both ways. You can set yours for either passive, active, or somewhere in between. So how do you prepare a scout for battle? First, a lick of paint. Any camo on a vehicle's hull boosts its permanent concealment bonus, which is vital for a light tank. The more, the better. Train crew perks that improve view range and concealment. Keep your radio operator on your radar. They have a few good perks that are very handy for light tanks. More perks than slots, in fact, so choose wisely. As for consumables, food ones will pad you out in all the right areas: view range, concealment, and firepower. Equipment can improve your scouting ability, making you harder to spot or boost your firepower. Mix and match to suit your playstyle. A good scout will want coated optics and commander's vision system mounted. For passive spotting or for mid-tier lights, consider binocular telescope. If you want a ninja on tracks, then mount low-noise exhaust system. If you also want to focus on shooting, consider something like a rammer or stabilizer. Improved ventilation gives you a little all-round boost. In place of turbocharger, you can equip the mobility improvement system respectively to bolster your ride that bit more. Make sure you research field modifications to build up 2 loadouts for different maps. For example, The first would have coated optics, commander's vision system, and low-noise exhaust. And the second would have ventilation, stabilizer, and gun rammer. That way you'll feel right at home, whether you're playing on Prokhorovka or Himmelsdorf. Phew! We've finally set up our dream light tank and are eager to head into battle. But what should you do in battle? How can you contribute? First, look at how many other lights are in your team and where they're headed. Scouts should spread out across different positions and even flanks. In the first minutes of battle, do some initial spotting for your team. Your teammates will really appreciate knowing how many opponents are on whichever flank. To spot enemy vehicles, you need to quickly get to a place that lets you see their approach route. To do that, you need to know the maps and remember the routes tanks take. It's safest to spot from bushes, but I came, I saw, I fled tactics can work too. That way, you'll likely get spotted. Just the time to remember how to rally drive. Then you can find a bush and spot from there. It's safer. If necessary, move from bush to bush, approaching or fleeing if there's danger. A moving light tank's non-reducing concealment comes in really handy for those short bursts. When you approach bushes, don't forget the proximity spotting circle. If you want to scout, you need to know about this. So how do we know where's the best to spot from? Look at where your teams and the enemy's light tanks are located, and remember the positions. For example, on steps, it's usually best to take a central position. On Lakeville, you should be on the central line or near the town. On mines, the bushes, both on the hill and in the water, are best. On Prokhorovka, you want the line of bushes on the alley or the hill if your team has enough lights on the alley. On Outpost, head for the bushes in the middle of the lake. Those are just a few of the well-known bushes, but all these maps offer light tanks plenty of ways to play. Commit good positions to memory and get experimenting. Don't forget, a felled tree is as good as a bush. And you can fell them yourself with HE shells. Remember that the thorn in a light tank's side is another light tank. You can throw a spanner in the enemy's scouting works by spotting them and destroying them. And you can stop them doing the same to you. Remember where you've seen enemy light tanks and think about how to beat them. Pure scouting is only an option on open maps. In urban locations without bushes, you'll have to come to the aid of mediums, dodge the enemy, and cause damage. Lights with autoloaders or auto cannons are great at this. You can't go wrong with big damage in a short time. Although lights are very vulnerable, they can trade hits too, but carefully and with immaculate timing. If you're hiding in the bushes spotting, think before letting that gun rip. Firing drops your concealment to scary lows. Make sure you have a strong exit strategy. As promised, let's end with wheeled lights and how they differ from versatile tracked ones. Vehicles in the EBR branch have a poor view range that stops them from scouting passively at a distance. But they do have good concealment, high speed, and wheels galore. Even if one or several of them are damaged, you'll still be able to get about. That's why wheeled lights are active scout supremos. They draw fire and dance under a storm of shells, lighting the enemy up in the process. At the higher tiers, wheeled lights have two movement modes, rapid with excellent top speed, and cruise. In cruise mode, the tank uses all its wheels to whirl like a dervish. These wheeled tanks pack penetrative HE shells that tear paper-thin enemies to shreds. Basically, wheeled tanks are very active, aggressive raiders. You'll need a very particular set of skills and practice to play in them, though. If you're less experienced, learn standard lights first. And that's it. Share this video with a friend who can't last a minute in battle. See you on the battlefield.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.
Hello gamers and welcome to the Onslaught Legends Series Season 3, sponsored by AMD. Together we advance gaming. I have joined you together with the more handsome version of Keyhand External, who's been lurking in the shadows. How you doing?
Hello, good. Thanks for having me. And more handsome version, what a compliment, especially without the hair. That means a lot to Keyhand, right?
Yeah, well, it is what it is. You've been keeping track of the season in the background, and you know that this match, Hit and Run versus Yogurt, well, on paper it looks like Hit and Run should run away with it. Yogurt have surprised W not too long ago.
Yeah, what a surprise game that was. Yogurt brought out some pretty nice strategies. I saw on Ghost Town they had all those 268s. Yeah. Especially with the buff and the buff to both the 268, the tank itself, and the ability it has. It's a strong contender for a tank now.
Oh yeah, it's very powerful and they showcase that very, very well. But your drops today, as you can see, this is the weekend of the 17th and 18th. So you're going to be getting a lot of tokens today and tomorrow for the token shop that you can spend in game, where you can find anything and everything for your heart's desire, whether it's a tank, whether it's styles, whether it is equipment, consumables, premium, boosters, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's right. I've even been getting some points on the side here when I'm on stream. I have the stream open and I'm getting my tokens too.
The bundles, of course, are also still available, no longer the prediction bundles, but you can still get the bundles in the store, and I think you can also get the combination bundle. I'm not sure what's the title of it anymore, where you can get the styles of the previous seasons as well. It's like a trio of those. Those are still available. You can still get those, and don't forget they directly support the prize pool as well. All of the proceedings going towards the Onslaught Legends Series Season 3 prize pool. And you can see this prize pool right now, 56,400 euros. Still very possible to breach 60k before the big finals next week.
Of that, first place is taking home 45% of it, quite a bit, and the rest of the teams, 2nd through 5th, are going to get to split the remaining.
OLF, of course, also coming in, the North American counterpart, with $15,000, where External will hopefully take a lion's share of that prize pool, right?
Hopefully. I'm from North America. Many people may not know, but I used to play professional, and I do still play tournaments, so I'm hoping for the best in OLF. I'm on stacked.
We'll be voting against you. On top of that, the winners of the Onslaught Legends Series will be taking home these AMD Ryzen 9800 X3D CPUs. Absolutely powerhouse, thanks to AMD. Definitely one of the top chips, if not the top chip on the market. I even asked Keyhand myself if I could get one, but he said no. He said he's already, taken one for himself. It is what it is.
Not a bad idea.
Though,
for today, standings. Here are the standings.
It's still the same story, right? External? Yeah. Last week?
It is, but we're used to Cashback being first typically, right? I mean, all the previous seasons, they've dominated quite handedly.
But they're getting there, though, from a disappointing season start to now, but the same story like last week, right? Where you can, or last play day, where every team really on that top 4 is within one match away from each other. One loss here and you're all the way back down to 4th, and then if Darkside wins, they're all of a sudden breathing down your neck, and it's not a position you want to be in at all. So for all of those teams, there is that. But for Yogurt and Darkside today, there is also, of course, they want to take every point along the way, because if they don't make it to top 4 External, they might still make it to 5th, either Yogurt or Darkside. That's another fight there.
That's an important place to be in. And aside from just those OLS messages, we also have the OCS finals today. So that's going to be the 4th match of the day.
Yeah, the OCS semifinal. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, semifinal. No.
I was a little confused of it as well. It's like the winner of this is going to be playing against Weekend tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that correction. Yeah, I misunderstood that. And well, coming up today, like we were talking about, we have Hit and Run and Yogurt for our first match. Yogurt being a little bit of that dark horse. We've seen them come out and make some pretty good plays, some good games, and take down opponents that we wouldn't expect them to.
Especially taking down W. I mean, it was 3-0. W came back to tiebreaker and then still ended up losing, so Yogurt didn't take the full punch. But this Hit and Run team, they have not looked amazing this season, external, if I'm honest with you. They're doing well, but they haven't shown so far to me that they're really in driving seat to potentially win this.
They have a unique style. They're very aggressive. Every time I see Hit and Run, I mean, it's kind of like their name, right? Hit and Run. They're always doing that. They always push in, super aggressive, and sometimes that works, but it's also can be predictable at times. We can see the community prediction here, 87% in Hit and Run's favor. It's very reasonable. I think all the casters pretty much are agreeing that Hit and Run is going to win as well. But that being said, Yogurt is still, like I said, a good team. They can maybe give Hit and Run, some struggle here.
Sure, and sorry, surprised that Yogurt made it to this phase, and then they surprised again, so the surprises might still keep coming. A highlighted player here, Ketsai. He plays a little bit of everything for Hit and Run, and I think last play day he was even playing the light tanks for them. I feel like he's taken over the light tank role there from Monster, because that was a big question, right, for Hit and Run after losing Mentos to Cashback, then to W in that order. They are missing out on that standout light player. I mean, neither Jacek or Monster is a bad light player whatsoever. They're really good light tank players, but you wouldn't put them in the same category, IMO, as like the Mentos, the Liberty, the YOLO for Mafia.
I wouldn't, but they are still good light players. I checked out Ketsai's stats actually in Game and Onslaught, and I see he plays a lot of light tanks as well, so maybe he knew or has been prepared to take up that role. But for the pick bans today, we can see that we're going to be watching Cliff, Murrow, Pilsen, and Ghost Town. This is a best of 7, so first of 4 is going to win.
Cliff coming out, I think that's a good pick for Hit and Run. Like, I really like the way they play Cliff usually. They're very good at it. I think last play they played it against Mafia, and then they play with a heavy 50Bs. It is very aggressive. It's hard to deal with as well.
Banning Sand River as well is pretty interesting. Hit and Run always picks Cliff. It's one of their favorite maps, even in attack defense days. That was by far their most picked map. So that's surprising, banning Sand River first from Yogurt, but maybe they've got something here prepared for Cliff. But like you said, Hit and Run's going to bring a lot of 50Bs. It's a good tank to bring on this map. It's fast. You can get your clip out quickly, a lot of HP. So we're probably going to see a lot of 50Bs here. The caster predictions, 4-1 for almost all of us. I predicted 4-2. Give a little bit more credit to Yogurt there. Unlike my fellow casters, I have a little more faith in them.
Yeah, you see me, Phil, and Key are in a tight race, you know. We can't give an edge to each other, so we're going with that good old straightforward prediction, 4-1. I was thinking about 4-2 as well, to be honest, because Yogurt has been doing well. But the reason, I was also thinking about 4-0 though. And the reason why is that Hit and Run is the kind of team that can trample a team like Yogurt, in my opinion. They've done it in the past quite a lot. They're like to a lesser team. Sometimes they just absolutely plow through them. And that's what I'm a little worried about here.
I think that's valid to be worried about that. Yogurt's, I think being in where they are in the position, 6, they have nothing really left to lose. They can just come out here and kind of just throw anything in and see what sticks, and that could just catch the team off guard. There is Fog of War, so you don't see what tanks the opponents have until you spot them. So you can definitely get caught off guard in Onslaught. So out for the tanks, apologies. We see Yogurt here with double 50B, a BZ75, 2 E50Ms, a Hurricane, and a TVP.
Hit and Run in return though, TVP, double 50M, CS, 277, double 50B, not something like hyper aggressive like we see from them before, where like 5 50Bs, but still able to play, and it's going to be a big brawl, big shootout here on the 1-2 line.
No light tanks.
Yeah, no light tanks, but it's going to be equal splits if you look at it. Hurricane BZ versus CS and 277 going middle, and the question is who gets the better here in the beginning? Like, who gets the actual damage? Quick is going to get focused out first, but can they get the Panther Fury out of the battle before Quick dies? No, it's going to be an even trade. E50s coming in, ramming each other as well. So far, it doesn't look like either of the two teams too far ahead, but the difference there, I think, externals in the middle of the map. You see the 277 and CS63 already coming from the top, while the Hurricane and the BZ are just a little bit slower. Hit and Run losing 2, Yogurt losing 2, but now Hit and Run is able to focus out Ramadik, and then they'll probably have the upper side, but they'll have to continue because they've given up that top side altogether, so they will need to keep pushing for Mindbreaker as well. Is that a mistake?
Hit and Run is going to be able to get this pick up on the Mindbreaker as well, most likely, but Yogurt has come back into the fight, and they have the high ground, so Hit and Run is looking kind of like a chicken with their head cut off. You see Frantic crossing down to try to get that TVP. They're going to be able to get up this pick over on Love, but they're going to have the low ground. They're going to have to push back up into Yogurt afterwards, which may be a hard position to come from.
Yeah, now Love with that TVP, 3 shells remaining. Wants to put them into Frantic, of course, but Frantic will find the kill. Will be on 750 HP, which is not a one-shot for BZ either. The Press finds the kill on Cat's Eye, and now Humble with that BZ. Misses!
A miss!
That's a big miss, though. That is a very, very big miss. And now the Press taking a shot from T-Sec as well, who's coming in. That was a very healthy CS63. Another miss there now from the CS63 as well. And Humble realizing, oof, another one. Endgame shooting,
brutal. Just
not here for Yogurt.
No, Hit and Run with 3 tanks alive, the HP advantage. T-Sec is going to be able to push out the press ad as well. This is definitely Hit and Run's game. I noticed that from the beginning, they look pretty strong with their focus fire. Yogurt had split their focus fire between 2 tanks. Hit and Run, all shots connected into 1 tank. They're able to pick up that first kill. Probably prevent that 50B from getting a few shots out, but here's the last tank left for Yogurt. There he goes, Humble. And first round going to Hit and Run.
Yeah, that's that last. You see the difference there, though. The BZ, while it's a great tank, time and time again, I'll repeat why I don't like it. It's just the gun is so annoying.
Yeah,
probably.
I'm sure.
To be honest, I'm not even going to blame Humble for missing. It really just is the BZ gun is just that annoying.
Heat as well, right? The BZ has heat. It's a very frustrating round to shoot because
it's the perfect comp tank, though. Like, it's such a good comp tank, but it's so annoying to play.
Yeah, that's right. As we can see here, the BZ at least wasn't the bottom damage 50B was, but that's because he was the first focused out. Only getting 2 shots out, that just goes to show that Hit and Run had really good focus fire on Quick. BZ was able to do 3.9k, just 1 bounce, 1 miss, but that's the BZ's gun. When you bring it, you can just kind of expect that to happen. Frantic doing 5.8, that's quite a bit in a TVP. I know a lot of players kind of don't really believe in the TVP compared to a Batchat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it's just the TVP is pretty hard in Onslaught, right?
It is, right? Yeah, it's, I mean, you don't really bounce as much. Funny to say that, but Batchat does bounce a little bit more, and that clip just feels underwhelming, getting out 1k damage. You know.
I mean, I think for random Onslaught, TVP can be amazing, but it's just like you need to get that initial 4 out of 4. If you get the first 4, you got the ball rolling. In a game like this, though, it's completely fine because the TVP... you know, he's just baiting, right? He just gets his first clip out, so he's like, after that, it's not that hard anymore for him to play. Just reload, ability. He still has to hit the shots, but the first clip is the most important.
Yeah, and the thing is with these strategies, the 50Bs are going first. They've got a lot of HP and they're fast. So, you know, they're going to get their 4 shots out. It's okay if they die after because they have other DPM tanks like the E50M and the TVP who are going to follow up and just can keep that consistent damage out. So the TVP, E50M are really the damage dealers. 50Bs are just helping to get that first kill because having that take advantage is just so massive in these fast Onslaught games. And as we can see the Phase 1 scores here, Hit and Run did win 3-1 against Yogurt in the past, so we can see Yogurt's capable of picking up a round. All the casters are expecting it, so we're going to go into the second side of Cliff. Maybe seeing that this was a 2-line brawl, teams could maybe just go for that. Maybe they just decide, you know what, you want to fight 2-line, bring everything.
On the lower side now.
We do, that's right.
I mean, it's something I tend to see a lot now. It's just like lower side brawl after brawl after brawl. And both teams there had kind of a mirror strategy to begin with. And I really just believe that Yogurt could have won that. You know, if the TVP backs off slightly earlier, right, extends his life longer, they need to push him more, it's a different game. Because then they have time to kill the E50 and the CS behind the corner.
You also made a good point. Their tanks from the middle were so much slower than coming towards the donut. Right?
But it's BZ though, you know, like BZ without a CS booster versus a 277 that's getting boosted the whole way by a CS. It's a big difference in speed.
It is. Going into our second round, we have Yogurt bringing 3 BZ75s. They are not hearing you in this cast right now, 10-minute delay, right? 2 Batchat 25Ts, TVP, and they're bringing a light tank this time, RHM.
Yeah, hit and run, no light tank though, double BZ, i7 CS, double 430U, and an STB. 430Us is not something we tend to see a lot on this map.
No, they're a little slow. I think that's the reason people bring typically E50Ms. Just that extra speed is really important on Cliff. I guess, I don't know what they would even do with 430Us. Maybe go lower side, but STB's
it's the only thing, no?
Yeah, I would think so. But oh no, I guess they are going middle. Well, they're just sending one i7 one line, which says to me they're maybe gonna just push straight over middle. But with that light tank, quick. I missed that. Did he drop the plane? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, he used the plane. He spotted most. I think he spotted everything going 5 lines, so they know that there's 6 tanks in the middle. Monster staying on the ramp. The i7 of Piotr just pushing in. They're crossing from the top now. This is spotted out though from the side of Yogurt. You see those tanks from Hit and Run now spotted. They're going to repressure the middle, but there is still a decent amount of tanks waiting there from Hit and Run. And Mindbreaker and the press realize that they want to just go to these block positions, and they're doing just that as well, which is a good move from them. Mindbreaker takes damage though. He might get pressured all the way by Piotr, who's just going for it, pushing him further off that cliff as well, chasing not the entire way, but in the meantime the hill has been taken for the side of Hit and Run, and they have this position here where Ketsai and Monster are able to find Anabans in an isolated position, nobody to help him really, and Yogurt saw those tanks coming middle. They set up defensively, but Hit and Run with a simple move back across towards 1-2 line cut this map in such a nice slice for them. It's pretty easy to digest.
Hit and Run got everything they could possibly want. Middle, hill, donut. They have extremely strong positions. They're going to be starting the pressure over middle as well. They've won the hill. Now that BZ75 is down on hill. So those two, SDB and CS, are just going to keep farming. DJ is going in, taking the shots, saying, let's go guys, let's just finish this match. Hurry up. And they're just going to keep picking up these kills. This is looking like a Hit and Run win on this second round.
You see the TVP does that quick burst, but it's just very squishy. 3 tanks hitting him, he's basically dead already. T-Sec pushing forward will probably find this TVP. He does close out the kill before another clip comes out. When the TVP gets rolling, you gotta be careful, but Hit and Run, yeah, it's so much at the same time. Taking back 1-2, taking the hill, and Yogurt with 0 answers to what was happening.
They did see that rotation. They saw through middle that Hit and Run was rotating the donut, but that's a tough position to be in, knowing that you have to give up donut and you have to run away.
They were so far back though on the 5 line, like they were sitting like D5, you know, so they had to boost back towards the middle. And by that time, Hit and Run was already on the hill.
Yeah, that's right. And now Hit and Run is just taking their time to close this out. They realize it's theirs. Ketsai was doing a good job just getting damage out all the time because he was able to keep up that Inspire for his team, whereas Yogurt did not have an Inspire tank. DJ's coming to probably HE. Yeah, there we go. 857 damage with a strike. That's the finish on Quick. And just Batchat remaining for Yogurt. Yeah, they did a good rotation. It was a fast one. Yogurt, I think they looked a little hesitant. Like you said, they held back a little bit at the start, and I think that's because they saw 6 tanks coming middle, and they're afraid of that push over middle.
Oh, I know, but just like to explain, I think that's personally a mistake, because then you allowed Hit and Run to do what they did now, right? If you back off so far from the middle because you're afraid of the mid push, then you end up not doing any damage to the 1-2 push across either, and you're late to take him back the hill, you're late to potentially push him back to 1-2. It's just like a chasing game, no? The whole time with this the defensive structure.
With the BZ75s, they're also fast enough to get that shot on the cross, so they almost they could have gotten more damage out just for Hit and Run having to cross to the donut. The RHM doing 1.5k, more than a BZ. That's not a great sign. The BZ should be doing probably more than the light tank on this map, but the light doesn't have a lot of place to play. We can see for Hit and Run on their side, the 430s actually did quite a bit of damage. They were the ones that crossed in to the donut. And DJ is the one that we saw just graciously push over middle, absorbing all the shots. He ended up doing 5.2k, which is a lot of damage.
The size 7 coming from below is very annoying though at the same time for Yogurt, because it's a lot of pressure straight, even though he doesn't do a lot of damage. It's like the double bat shot. They basically need to put all of their shells into him to kill him, because you assume 1 or 2 will bounce. and he's just very annoying. Even if they were just pushing over mid, that IS-7 would harass these double bats.
Yeah, they absolutely would, and they had to run right away. So not only that, they couldn't even shoot the I-7 once because they just had to run. They saw those tanks crossing from middle into the donut. So they're just kind of playing ring around the rosy. And well, that's Cliff for you. You know, hit and run is very strong on Cliff. So it makes sense. Their map pick 2-0, starting strong. Yogurt, we're going to go into their map pick, Murrow, next. You know, hit and run is a team that's, you know, pretty good on every map. So I'm sure they don't mind playing Murrow. But what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think Yogurt's going to have something prepared for Murrow?
I think Murrow was the map where W came back against Yogurt, if I'm not mistaken. I think. And it wasn't all that fantastic. It was pretty standard. So the good thing is that W probably showed them a little bit of how to play Murrow better. But hit and run, it could cook something on Murrow. You know, they're the kind of team to do something crazy.
Yeah, I think that they are probably a team to bring like maybe 4 lights. I think we've seen that from, was it W?
W, yeah.
Yeah, hit and run seems like the kind of team that would do something like that. So
honestly, the rat tactic can work. W was using it against, was it against Yogurt? Yeah, it was against Yogurt actually. They lost that game.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
But they got caught this time, though. They played it against Yogurt, I think, from North, right? And there was this moment where Yogurt crunched the forest from both the 6 line, you know, and then coming to the 0 line. And instead of trying to fight at that point, W ran away down 0 line with like 4 tanks. And, it wasn't, they were too close at that point. They had to stand and fight. But I agree, it's super annoying because you don't have enough planes for all those lights.
Yeah, W got caught because they ran, right?
Yeah.
Like the Leo, I think Baby, he got caught from trying to run.
I think they could fight.
But all those lights, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced just playing pub onslaughts. Nothing makes you want to snap your keyboard in half more than an EBR that has radio and disappears after 1 second.
Oh, dude, there's a lot of crazy games I've won on Sand River in the last 2 seasons. There was like 4 or 5 lights, you know, because that's so annoying to play against for the enemy.
Yeah, it is. All right, well, going into this 3rd round, we have Yogurt bringing a 113, Batchat, Centurion Action X for the Inspire, 3 430Us, and a plane tank, so RHM Panzerwagen.
Return, though, there's a RHM as well for hit and run, 68, Bliska, Triple E50M, and a CS63. It's a very mobile lineup, though, straight in your face. Not that Yogurt's isn't, but hit and runs is almost entirely centered around that brawling aspect, right? While Yogurt still has 113, Bat, AX.
Both are unique lineups. We don't really see these kind of lineups on Murrow too often, I'd say. Good plane coming out. They spotted... one thing I just noticed, they spotted the left side of the spawn, looking at the mini-map. So they see the tanks going to cap. So that means Yogurt's caring more about the tanks going to the cap than the tanks going to the forest. And Hit and Run, in return, is getting a free strike in middle from their CS and radio from their V4. And they're also going to see these tanks going into the cap. They're going to realize they don't have to commit. They can get some early damage out into this. And this is probably just going to be a full brawl. Hit and Run is deciding to push in and take this fight. Call Me Piotr is not even there. Panzer Fury isn't even there yet, but they're going to push in, focusing out Mindbreaker, but damage is going all over. 3 tanks, 1 tank already goes down for both teams. This is looking interesting.
It's still going Hit and Run's way right now, though. They're up in HP. They're going to find a second target as well, which is Ramadik in his 115. He falls. But now, can they find something in return onto Franek? Because that's just the press pushing. He has no support whatsoever. He tried to get out of that crossfire, but instead he's put himself in between another one, between Katsai and Franek, who have no problem picking him up between the 2 of them. And then it will be 3 tanks down for Yogurt. Make it 4 as Love is dead as well. And this quick brawl, this brawl-orientated lineup, we talked about it, it's just better at brawling than what Yogurt is bringing.
That's right, and fan the flame that is Hit and Run, and this is what will happen. They just push in with those 3 tanks. That was honestly unexpected for me. I didn't think they would go in, but the Bliskovica is such a DPM tank. We don't see it much anymore, but it doesn't mean it's not a good tank. It still has insane DPM and a strong ability. Just 2 tanks left for Yogurt. This is, of course, Hit and Run's game. This is going to be a 3-0. It is a best of 7, so it's not over yet. It's the first team to get 4 rounds, but just liquor remaining. And that's 6 tanks left alive from Hit and Run. Wow, what a statement that is.
And I think this lineup just works better for this kind of play. You know, when you're meeting on the gap, they were also able to focus out a little bit better, and the tanks from Yogurt were just slightly further away. And then when the remaining tanks of both teams arrive, you end up with Hit and Run having 6 or 5 actual brawling tanks versus the like 4 from Yogurt. The Bacha, while it's a great tank, it just clips, and then it's like, hey guys, 15 seconds before I'm even trying to come back. The AX is not really getting involved either. The 113 is not a super great brawler either. I mean, it's a fine tank, but it's not a 430U, you know?
Their best chance was probably just to bring everything close to the cap. They had a pretty good plane. Seeing 4 tanks for, like, Yogurt had a pretty good plane. Seeing Hit and Run's 4 tanks going towards the cap, I think their best chance was just to bring everything, even though they have, you know, a slightly worse brawling comp. They just got to take 7 tanks and drive into that little fight there. That was probably their best chance, but we can see from the damage here, Panzer Fury in the middle was able to get the most. He did pick up that strike. He was able to do 550 damage with strikes, so that's his personal strike plus level 2 personal strike plus the strike he got in middle. E50M's just DPM machines. And Mindbreaker only able to do 2 shots. T-Sec also only able to do 2 shots, so that was pretty good focus fire, but I think it could be better. The damage was really split between those 3 tanks. They could have gotten one out a lot quicker. So, you know, it could have been a little better, I'd say.
I think the worry that we brought up in the beginning, where Hit and Run sometimes does this snap in the neck of a more inexperienced team and just like rolls over them. But once the ball gets rolling, it's pretty hard to stop. It's basically what we're seeing unfold in front of us. You know, Yogurt is not really able to match the speed of this game that they're getting thrown their way right now.
Not really. Like you said, that's very true. It's, you know, once you get that momentum, it's pretty hard to stop that. Some teams, I've seen timeouts called to try to pause the momentum. It even happens in sports. You know, you got to flip who's, I guess, carrying forward that. So, you know, Yogurt, maybe if they can get around here, maybe they can pick it up and start carrying some momentum themselves. But yeah, it's more looking like what you said, Hit and Run, just breaking the neck, kind of just having full control, full dominance.
Yeah, I would like to see Yogurt pick something up here. They are playing from what is, in my opinion, the better side of Moravanka, which is north. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'd say north is probably better. You know, 1-2 line, it definitely has stronger positions. And also with that little like tower we can see on screen right now, the left side of the screen, that tower also helps a lot because it gives you some cover when playing on this hill. So yeah, I would say the north side's better. I'd agree with that.
So that's what I think they have going for them, right? Playing from that position. It is also better to play the cap normally, right? So they could maybe make it happen. They have a very versatile lineup though. BZ, BAT, AX, 430U, FUSHB, 268, and an RHM.
And Hit and Run is bringing in E50M, just one of them, 2 430Us, Bliskovica, FUSHB, an Object 268V4, and the T100 LT. So the T100 LT is an interesting choice because it's small, a lot smaller than the RHM Panzerwagen is. When you're grabbing the radar, there's an object, like the radar tower on the radar point, as you know. Shots don't go through that. So the T100 can kind of hide behind it and pick up the radar. It's a lot harder to hit. So that's probably what we're going to see from Hit and Run. Yogurt's opening up towards the forest. Hit and Run's still opening up kind of cap side, but they can still rotate anywhere. That T100 is on the radar point. He's just sticking it right away. Both teams are actually sticking the radar. Quick was not able to pick up some damage going out, and Ketsai was able to get the radar, so that's huge information advantage from Hit and Run, and Yogurt is just giving up the attempt to try to take that radar, so they're going into this game a little bit blind. They don't know where the Hit and Run tanks are, but still, they are going to commit to that middle strike and try to pick that up.
Yeah, the EX is going to have to be very careful there on the 3-4 line. I think he's backing away already. Good adjustment from him in that regard. That is Love backing off. He realizes, but there's still these tanks in the middle that are a bit of a worry, right? External. Once that 3-4 line is lost, Anaban's position is not the greatest, but maybe they can find something on Call Me Piotr in the meantime. And T-Sec as well, because T-Sec seems a little late on the running away. He does pop the ability, but you got to remember that damage taken does not equal damage healed. You know, there's always a percentage percentage of health that is permanently lost on that Foch B. Anaban's in return getting pushed immediately on that 268. He's not going to get the DPM anything. He gets rolled over, but the damage in return, Franek is not having a good time either, down towards 560, and now Ramadek and Depressed taking this outside control here, but they gotta be careful because Tisek is lingering and waiting in that Foch B. He has an easy time against that BZ75, who's now trying to boost, but there's a team behind it in his side as well. He goes down. They're caught in a little bit of no man's land themselves, and with Monster arriving to clean up the rest of the press, Yogurt has to find something in the middle of the map.
And here comes the strike. Yogurt was holding on to that for quite a while, maybe too long. They did pick up those 2 strikes at the start of the game, which I thought may help them in a brawl here. But Depressed Sad is going to have to run away. They don't have strong positions. Hit and Run still has 6 tanks alive versus Yogurt's 3. That chase to the Foch B was probably not the best play they could make. They lost a lot of time and basically allowed Hit and Run the ability to repush into middle because there were 2 tanks from Yogurt that were out of the fight. Love here is not going to have much he can really do in this situation. They're Hit and Run's just going to drive into him. That's the next pick for them. He is going to try to pick up Franek. Probably doesn't have the reload to actually get the kill. Ketsai and Franek just have to hit 1 shot. There we go. And just 2 tanks left for Yogurt. This is probably looking like a 4-0.
Unless Liquor can do something incredible, which is not looking like it. It is 5 tanks from Hit and Run. And yeah, this chase against the Foch B external damage they wanted to do, but it got them into a pretty bad situation.
Docky, like you said, the Foch B, not only did he took damage, right? And it's not 100% gain. I think it's like 70% back at level 3 or 75.
Something like that, 70.
Yeah, but that's still a lot of damage that Yogurt was putting out into that Foch B that is kind of wasted, you know? Because the Foch B was able to get away. I would have liked to see Yogurt come back and fight the middle once they saw, and also they had the second strike they held on to for so long. It's better to use those strikes kind of earlier, I'd say, in brawls, because you need to dictate the fights as quick as possible.
It's also the stun, right?
Yeah, the stun as well. Yogurt's not, you know, they're not a bad team. They had a lot of good showings here. Hit and Run is just obviously a very strong team, first place right now in the season. So, you know, against many other teams, Yogurt would absolutely dominate. But today, Hit and Run was just a stronger opponent, and they're first place for a reason right now. Yeah,
this battle here was the best opportunity Yogurt has gotten in this match to actually win a round. Sadly for them, it's going to be 4-0. That's going to make Darkside at least a bit happy, knowing that even if they lose their match, and they're in a position where, you know, 5th is a very important place this season. Last season, 5th went into relegations. This season, 5th not only gets some money, it's also, I think, secured for a slot in the next season. So it's like, you want to be there. If you're not able to play the playoffs, at least, you want to be in that position number 5. Oh, that's busy.
Ramadek, 0 damage coming out. That's hard, you know.
PC on Moravanka, though, is also...
Yeah, with heat ammo, you know, there's so many objects you have to shoot through. It's not fun using heat on Muro. From Hit and Run, Monster 430U 5.1k, that is a monster game. And the light tank, obviously getting that information was massive for Hit and Run. A lot of games can be decided just purely on information. Fog of War not having that info, you know, it can, when one team is able to see all 7 tanks and the other team only sees 2 or 3, obviously it's in the advantage of the team who saw everything. They're able to make that play. They know exactly where to push, and the other team just has to make a blind gamble.
Yeah, but like BZ on Muro is always such a hard tank to play, though. I really don't like it. Like Moravanka, if you like, I think that's for anybody at home watching as well. It's so many fences. It's just one fence followed into the next fence, into the next fence, into the next fence. When you're shooting those heat, you're like, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be hitting anything whatsoever. But for Hit and Run, it's really good, right? They put themselves 4 points clean, put the pressure now on the teams that are coming behind them, especially Cashback, for example. And those will still play later, but they got to chill now. They had an easy cruising in match number 1. We are going to go to some replays. When we come back, the action continues. We've got 3 more matches, so don't go anywhere. Enjoy the replays.
Hello, I'm Miriam.
Babylon, Smith speaking. We captured Ramfalte successfully, but it seems that we stirred up a hornet's nest. We're being chased by several dozen Echo tanks.
Isn't science fascinating?
Moving to the extraction point. Babylon, do you copy? We're approaching. Open the portal. Now there's too many of them. Where's the portal? Babylon, do you copy?
Sign up to volunteer for Last Stand.
Seems that extraction is delayed. Okay, we'll wait. Keep on working, guys.
With scientific tools like these, no one will stand in the way of your research. No one.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to the second match of the day in the AMD OLS Season 3. And Ducky, we have Darkside against Mafia. I think just like last match, it is sort of, top dog against underdog, kind of, with Mafia, I think, taking the top dog position in this matchup. However, Darkside, they have had some pretty good matches.
Sure, and they're in their trusted position. Number 5. They know everything about position number 5, Gihan.
I mean, yeah, kind of the experts. Then again, I think, especially with the fact that you can earn 4 points in every match here in phase number 2, they're not completely out of the race yet. They're not out of contention for the playoffs.
No, if they win this, they're literally right at the back end of the bottom teams, sniffing their feet for those points.
All right, if you want to put it that way, but yeah, here first of all,
it's not my fault you think about it in a bad way, From their position,
you were the one coming up with it, all right?
Ankles,
Okay, well, as long as you don't, say that they're maybe asking for some picks, Anyway, though, Mafia lineup here. True, tested, and trusted also to put on a show. So let's see what they're going to come up with. On the other hand, I mean, Darkside lineup still with only 8 players. Here we can see the community predictions, though, 82%. That is a lot.
It's kind of the same as with the Hidden Man and Yogurt, right? So it's the same story. I mean, Mafia needs the points as well, just to stay ahead of Darkside, and Darkside would like to get ahead of Yogurt,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for both of these teams, I mean, it always feels so obvious to say, but like for both of these teams, points would be really appreciated at this stage. Although they're kind of coming from, different openings. Like for Mafia, it's needed to stay in the playoff spots, whereas for Darkside, it's kind of more going in towards the direction of possibly playoffs. Yuzik, though, has been performing for his team, 1.0 KD ratio, but 3.4 average damage. That is quite a lot.
It's a good number. Yuzik has been doing very well for this team since he departed Storm, joined this. It was a successful move for him as well. Let's put it that way. And he's been performing especially as well. He plays a lot of Mouses, which is not always the highest damage dealing tank, to be honest, Gihan. Like, it has a lot of good games, but it also has a lot of bad games.
Yeah, I think especially on Ensk, the Mouse is one of those things that doesn't get focused out, but continuously does damage. But today, that might not even happen, seeing that Ensk is the tiebreaker. We are going to start on Sand River, headed in towards Ghost Town, and I think that kind of makes sense. Darkside, they probably want to surprise on their map pick, whereas Mafia, they want to play technical on Ghost Town. Then if we get to it, we would have Pilsen as the map number 3, and then I alluded to it already, Ensk as the tiebreaker, if we get to see it.
If we get to see it, but yeah, I would like to see Ensk still. Mafia a good Ensk team. It's good that we have a completely different map pool here than Hidden One versus Yogurt. I'm mainly curious. I love watching Sand River and how it's going to play out. And I think actually Moff doesn't like Ghost Town, but I love Ghost Town simply because of the variety of games you see on it.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy, the amount of variety that gets played on Ghost Town. 0, 1, 2, 3 light tanks, all is a possibility. Maybe at some point someone is even going to bring 4. We'll have to wait and see, but I guess then again W isn't playing, at least in this match. So the possibility of 4 light tanks on Ghost Town is maybe low, I don't know. But yeah, Darkside against Mafia. I don't think we'll see a 4-0 here like we did in match number 1. I was kind of surprised to see Hit and Run have that easy of a time with Yogurt, because yeah, they were always going to be favored, but 4-0 and it wasn't close. Like in each of the rounds, it was like domination.
The last one was potential. Let's put it that way. But Mafia, I'm going to stand by it. Like, I think they're going to win this season still. I mean, I know that they lost against Hit and Run last play day, but it was also a tiebreaker, right? I really, for some reason, feel Mafia winning. I cannot explain it, Kihan. I cannot explain it. But they've already won a tournament, just not in OLS yet. And for some reason, I don't believe Hit and Run's gonna do it. You know, they're just a China team, kind of. You know, they perform best when they're abroad.
I mean, yeah. Then again, whenever Mafia and Hit meet, for some reason, it always seems to go to tiebreaker. And more often than not, it is Hit winning those tiebreakers. So looking at the playoffs, we just have to hope for Mafia that, you know, they don't meet Hit. But as it's a double elimination bracket, that might be pretty difficult.
I mean, even if you hit each other, at some point you don't, you know.
Well, let's see. First of all, though, it's going to be Mafia playing off against Darkside. And as we said, Mafia would really like the points to stay in the better positions for the playoffs. And for Darkside, it is not only points that would put them into striking distance for the playoffs themselves, but also put some ground, put some distance in between themselves and Yogurt, who were unable to get anything done today. So pretty important match for either of them.
Nice copy pastas here for the caster predictions, Kian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was anything today really that was going to make people doubt, no? I would have to check.
I mean, last match of the day is W against Cashback.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, but even that, I think, is...
I mean, seeing what happened in phase 1 between both of those, it was kind of an easy prediction for me to make. But there is always the possibility for upsets. And let's see if Darkside is able to pull one off right here. They're coming in with double BZ75, double MVY, 1 CS, an UDES, and an STRB.
Mafia in return, light AX277, double MIVI, and double BZ. So, light tank advantage for Mafia, but how are they going to utilize that is the big question.
Yeah, we've seen before that Sand River, being the open map that it is, surprisingly enough, a lot of teams are choosing to not go for the light tank or maybe go for the EBR. Obviously, the CS can kind of do the same thing that the EBR sometimes can, as in taking map control, and it is kind of better at forcing the enemy light tank back because it has, well, a little bit of armor, but also bigger HP pool and more firepower. First of all, though, Darkside opening up, sending those double BZs towards the cap. The STRB and the double MBY are going to set up shop in the south to passively cover, as Trash Panda already takes a big hit.
Yeah, they're doing the strategy that we saw before as well, kind of from Cashback, with denying the strikes in the middle and the south while capping simultaneously and trying to get something out of that. But Scout here in the open towards Yuzek, though, who has a reset angle forced into those buildings. And you got to remember, every building that they crush is also less cover that they have on the cap. Now, can they convert it into something? Conrad there in his BZ, a little bit of trouble in the middle. Trash Panda and Scout are shooting towards him. And now the question is, how can they utilize this middle area? Hellmine and Vladislav is now starting to take it, but this is wide open area, and Conrad really getting punished heavily in his BZ down towards 1.1.
Down towards 1.1, and the plane of YOLO also barely missing Hellmine. That's going to be problematic. YOLO finally seeing the UDES, but taking a shot in return. So far, the trades for Mafia not really going their way. Darkside have dealt a number on towards Conrad, and it's still, both teams have 7 tanks alive, but with the STRV, I don't think the possibility for Mafia to push is really there as long as Kano can really stay unspotted. Now though, Scout taking 1100 in the cap, so they're not really able to get that pressure going, and the buildings behind Trash Panda have been destroyed. This means he's going to take a few of those up the butt.
And now the issue is these BZs are starting to run out of cover key hand. Hellmine will take the strike, and they had this advantage of a few thousand HP, but now Kono, together with the crossfire from behind, is slowly but surely pushing down these buildings, getting these angles, and now you see Copiad and Shokurix pushing back up because they look to dump Kono in the middle of the map. He is the pressure point now for Darkside, but it was even a little bit late, Kihan. They gave up a lot of damage to reach this point, with Scout being down towards 671.
Yeah, indeed. Good hash, I guess, by Orzhek coming in here, and now the trigger gets pulled against Kono as 3 tanks of Darkside are converging on towards the singular 277 that Mafia have posted here. Another shot comes out from Kono, but I think that's just going to be, yeah, it for him. He is the first one to be biting the dust, and now Kopiat is trying to control Yuzek, who takes a strike to the face down towards a 2-shot as well. How much damage is Mafia going to trade off for the kill on towards Yuzek here?
That's a good question, because Kopiat will peek probably soon together with Shokurix. 1 shot on Yuzek will put him into 1-shot range. Profuse now moving closer doesn't really help this scenario. They want to peek this. Kopiat peeking Profuse, doesn't get the shot. Shokurix wants to peek Yuzek. They're not doing it right now, and you see that's a 25-meter proxy range. They can't really see where he is. The cap has been restarted, and Kopiat and Shokurix are not doing the greatest trades here. They do find a shot against Yuzek though, which means... Oh, they didn't. It was actually just a strike. They still will need to kill him, and Profuse is starting to slowly but surely lower it over them from this upper position.
Yeah, indeed. Profuse doing a really good job of covering for his teammate as Hellmind in the middle of the map gets spotted. I think that is by the plane as well. Takes shot after shot. Orzhek also YOLO to shut it down. All of a sudden, Mafia starting to turn it around.
Yeah, they were a little bit complacent here, Darkside, on the scale line to make this kill against Yuzek, allowing their Udas in the middle of the map to die. And now Kano will find the... Ooh, he misses! That is pretty big, because he realizes that he cannot do that anymore, simply because that he is a 1-shot to the BZ. 697 is a potential 1-shot still, so they don't go for that. The cap has been started though, and Vladislav will make it out as YOLO does a rare miss. Oh, no, I actually think YOLO will still find it nonetheless. He does. And Mafia, who looked to be in trouble in the beginning of the game, do find the control that was needed.
I mean, it's still not over yet. Darkside have the tank advantage, and the cap is down towards 13 seconds. This means that Orzhek has to commit on towards the cap. Does get spotted out in his Centurion, but Scout being very low is obviously the problem now for the tanks of Darkside. The HP in general for the team in white not really looking healthy. Orzhek, beautiful hold down position to really eliminate the cap pressure, and now giving them all the time in the world that they need. They also still have that RHM advantage that at this point in time Darkside probably don't really have any answers for.
They cannot kill the RHM, and they have the issue that Shokurix needs to use his strike, but if he uses the strike then Traspanda dies, so it doesn't really do much because he can get a personal heal, right? If he gets enough prestige points, but then they're still going to lose Trash Panda, and then Mafia will be in the tank advantage with the HP advantage.
Yeah, so let's see how Mafia are going to play out this one. They obviously have a lot more HP. This means that, first of all, Darkside cannot really break out of this contain. They cannot push Barkis. It is just too much open ground to cover, and this means that, in turn, Mafia have all the time in the world to work with, and they are going to just pick up those neutral objectives that are scattered all around the northeastern part of the map here. They are going to be free to contest basically the double info point. The strike is for sure the second strike. They could even try for that because there is no baby strike medium on the side of Darkside to really reset that, as YOLO really has everything to play for. He is very low HP, but he is kind of the playmaker for his team.
I mean, Shocker is going on to the strike. If they want to, they can kill Trash Panda or Shokurix though, and then I don't know how Darkside gets back in it.
Shokurix now in the strike. They probably know that Mafia at this point in time don't really have a strike available, but that was a crucial shot by Barkis in towards Kopiat, also putting him in towards this one strikeable range below 400. You can see both the MVYs don't have enough experience built up to properly heal back up, and YOLO spotting out Kano. That was very, very well played by him. Just not letting Darkseid go back into it. Kopiat now does a shot of damage, and you can see he immediately starts healing back up. But, oh, he does go above 400, so good for him. But at the end of the day, his team is still in trouble.
Yeah, well, if he's not dying, then Trash Panda is dying. You know, Kopiat also heal back up. They're like, Panda.
Yeah, for 20 heal it for Shokorix. And I mean, yeah, he's not a one-shot for the strike, but both info towers being taken at the same time now for the team of Mafia should tell you everything that you need to know. They're just playing this one out slow, methodical, but at the end of the day, it's gonna work. Trash Panda getting striked by the Centurion, I think. And that means it's now a 2v4 with 826 HP between the two of them. The split of the HP is kind of ideal because they're not one-strikeable, but Mafia don't even really need to do anything because they now have the gun advantage.
I think there was a moment there, remember, when they did a lot of damage to Conrad and to Barkis, right? They stayed on the cap for too long, Kihan. That was the moment to repressure that K-line like they did later on with less HP. If they did it with more HP, it would have found even more success, right? The Udas wouldn't be dead in the middle. The BZs would be healthier as well. They became a little bit complacent.
Yeah, and I think as well, Mafia, like the MVYs in the south, did a great job of just staying alive and bleeding the MVYs of Darkseid. It felt like it took an eternity, and it took more HP than it should have to remove those low HPs from Mafia. So I think just one overpeak and you just bite the bullet, you take the damage, but it does end up killing the opponent. Would have been the better option. But yeah, Ojek with a very good game. I mean, that is 5k plus. He probably inspired his team a lot as well. That is something never to discount. And it's very interesting also to see that the medium tanks are the ones with all of the kills, or mediums and light tanks with all of the kills between them on the team of Mafia.
You can see the problem there. I mean, the Uda is not doing that much compared to its counterpart. One of the BZs lacking a little bit. But yeah, Orchak and YOLO getting 7 kills together. This is a round where you could say that Darkseid has it and opts not to take the advantage that they've gotten, which is maybe going to bite them in the butt later on in this series. Because you're not going to get that many opportunities against Mafia either.
Yeah, no, this might be the last one they have. We do, though, see the phase 1 score, and at least there, it was a close affair. Mafia taking it in a tiebreaker, 3-2. Let's see if it's going to be the same thing again. I mean, it's 1-0 now, but seeing that we have gone from a best of 5 to a best of 7, there is still time to recover. And I think that, like, the spirits on the dark side are going to be a bit lowered, obviously, after losing a round like this, because realistically it was winnable, but I don't think they're shattered.
No, I mean, it was the first round, Key. Let's see. Darkseid came in strong, though. Looked better than Yogurt, at least, you know? Like, they had real opportunities in this one. They're just a little bit complacent and didn't take the right decision quickly enough. But they could still do a lot of things here, honestly. And, you know, Ghost Town is also one of those maps that comes after this. So I wouldn't write them out whatsoever. Let's just look towards the future.
Yeah, indeed. There is still this second round. And if anything, Darkseid did not look hopeless, which is what kind of came to mind when I was watching the previous match when you were casting it. Like, there, it seemed like Hit and Run were just running a train all over Yogurt. But here, it was a pretty close affair in this first game. It's just some small things that need adjustment from Darkseid.
Maybe they need you to inspire, Keyhand.
Well, I mean, they have me casting the match, so that should be inspiration enough, no?
To make it as short as possible.
I mean, then again, it's probably better for both teams that I'm not playing currently for them.
I mean,
there's a reason that I'm casting and, they're playing.
Did you, when's the Road to Legend starting, Kian?
The Road to Legend is not starting.
You promised last season, though.
Huh?
You promised last season.
You said I promised. I never did.
You promised. You said live streaming Road to Legend featuring Kihan.
Fake news. But what is not fake news is that the second game is about to start and Mafia are going to come in looking for the clean pickup on Sand River. EBR, double E50M, double MVY, an IS-7 and a BZ.
In return, Darkside, double BZ, an AX, double E50M, CS63, and an STRV. Kono on the EBR could be very potent here, though.
It could be, yeah. Kono last game had a good one as well, and this time he gets basically free play. He needs to be a little bit afraid of the Hurricane that can chase after him, but other than that, he can roam the map, he can generate map control, and he is doing just that. Being sent towards the north, he's going to dive the dune. Meanwhile, Darkside are mostly focusing on the south. Once again, Trash Panda in the Hurricane is probably going to go for the strike. A spot comes out on towards the MBYs. They're going to know that this was not from a plane, so they are going to suspect that something from Darkside is in the south.
IS-7 taking the strike, E50 taking the info point. His BZ is getting converted to the middle in return for Darkside. They may actually want to go for Profuse early though, because they know that he could be pressured a little bit, but with double Mivy covering, maybe a two-pronged attack he had, onto the Mivy, onto the BZ.
I mean, look on the minimap where the EBR is already, completely in the spawn of Darkside, who are probably not aware that they have lost this much map control already. Buck is with a peek, but gets a slap in towards his own turret as Scout is going to go on towards the strike. And now Orzhek is going to get pushed, and he needs to be very careful because there's a lot of tanks by Darkside in the middle of the map that are able to shoot. He's going to try and dip down low, but in comes the strike and Scout to push. This is going to turn into a brawl.
Yeah, well, Mafia was very ready to react to the Scout going over, but instead he's getting hunted down by the wolves of Mafia, who find one. Kano is here though, covering in that STRV. Yusek may just want to ram into him and push him. That's exactly that. That is an MVP play if I've ever seen it. Playing for the team, Kihan, pushing that STRV, getting him off his pretty defensive position where he would be really annoying is the correct thing to do there for Yusek. They did lose a tank in the meantime, and they're about to lose Yusek as well, but they can just continue further down the middle. Fine, Hellmine next on the chopping board. He will die in the X. That's the Permine Spire gone. Then Shockrex in the BZ carries a lot of HP, but what does that really do for the side of Darkside? He does find Barkis, which is an important kill, and we do find ourselves in a 4v4 where Darkside has 4 combat tanks versus 3 of Mafia and the EBR.
Yeah, exactly. The firepower currently lacking a little bit on the side of Mafia, albeit they still have more HP, but Vladislav about to drop in the E50M as kills get traded as well. So we're about to see that the Hurricane might be able to finish off the E50M with the help of the EBR as Profuse starts chasing down Kopiat, and all the DPM in the world is not going to save you against the alpha damage together with the temporary cover that the houses provide. Kono now trying to do what he can against the 2 mediums that are very close to him, but he still needs to find Vladislav. That is a one-shot.
And Kopiat trying to extend his life as long as possible against his BZ. Needs to be careful for what's coming behind. Vladislav will not find a shot against Kono. Kopiat will die here against Konrad normally. He needs to go forward. He does realize that just in time. Can he find a kill on Profuse before he dies? He can! Good job there from Kopiat. But now Trash Panda in an unholy 1v2 with the EBR, who's already shooting him unspotted as well. And yeah, now Kono is very, very powerful in that EBR.
Yeah, he can always drop off and draw Trash Panda in towards the fire of the E50M. You can already see one of the shots there just missed. But he is going to fade to darkness, and now Kono is going to play Ring Around the Rosie. You can see the short spotting time is going to be really annoying. He does touch the artillery strike, but does decide to drive through. He wants to hunt down the E50M, and he knows the whereabouts of Konrad, actually, as that one is on the strike. A shot does connect, by the EBR though, so he's going to be down towards a 4 shots still, but it seems like the E50M of Conrad was able to take the strike. Now he just needs to find him, and he does kill him. Did he use the strike? Is the question.
I think he did.
Yeah, that is why Trash Panda is down towards 894. Let's assume the strike hits. That makes 494. Possible HE one shot.
Oh, I don't think Kono will be shooting HE here. This is kind of like Kono should teach everybody how to close out this kind of game. It's near impossible for Trash Panda to do anything in this scenario, because he needs even with HE 4 shells to kill Kono if he pens every single one of them. While Kono needs only 3 to kill Trash Panda. 2.
And he has a strike.
Yeah, 2 if you include the strike. So it's like he checks for him, he doesn't find him, he will start going back towards the information tower, then strike, information tower, then strike, and just kill him.
Well, I mean, Trash Panda now starting to run away from the EBR, but with 5 minutes still on the clock, at some point Kono can just go towards the info point, which is, I think, what he is gonna go now with. Nice drift. And he's going to be able to pick that one up as he lifts the middle wheels. He's going to be fast once again. And now he's even starting to go towards the other strike here as well. He did spot him. I think that was good strike placement. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, indeed, it did hit. He obviously does not know that, but this means that now Trash Panda, I mean, he does have the mini strike. He puts it, and it ends up, well, not resetting Kono, because Kono just drives out. That is another tool out of the box of Trash Panda gone. Kono is playing this one picture perfect so far.
I mean, it's so free for Kono, in a way. Full HP EBR. He knows that the CS is blinding him as well. He knows that Trash Panda is in the base. And he just has every opportunity to do whatever he wants. He can even take a shot of damage. Nice drift again. It doesn't really matter. He can take a shot and still be fine.
I mean, he could even take 2 and still be fine, in my opinion. He's just waiting for the info tower to recharge, so he can repeat what he just did, which was, well, spot with the tower, strike, rinse, repeat. He has the time to do it.
I mean, he'll just sit on the info tower and do it again, you know? On the far end, it's just impossible to blind. It's just, this is how you're supposed to do it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to take a while, but, you know, slow and steady wins the race in this point. And you can see Trash Panda, he's trying to blind, but realistically, Kono is playing this one so well, he was also lining his tank up in the way as to minimize the potential area of exposure for Trash Panda to blind. So he's just ticking all the boxes right now. Dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's. They see each other now. Shot, never mind that. Strike goes in. Good HE shell coming out from Trash Panda, but is it going to help is the question. I think we both know the answer.
No, it's not. Kono closes it out just like he's supposed to. Plays it by the book altogether. Doesn't give any opportunity to that CS63 of Trash Panda to come back in it, and that's exactly what he's supposed to do. Good job there, Mafia, now picking up a second tight round, Kihan. And it's not like with Yogurt, right? Darkside has opportunities and potential into it, but if you lose the round, you lose the round. You know, it doesn't matter if you lose 7-0 or 7-3, you're still losing.
Or 7-6 for that matter, as we just saw. You know, well played to Kono in that EBR. He was not taking any kind of risk. He was just playing it exactly how he was supposed to. And I mean, that's maybe part of the reason of why such tanks are getting picked, right? Is that the late game carry potential that you have in, for example, an EBR or an RHM on open maps like this is just super high. Like, there are things that you can do with light tanks in Onslaught that you simply cannot do with other tanks.
Yeah. And pushing Kano off there was pretty good for Music, because he would have done a lot of damage in the STRV, and he would have been hard to counter as well because of the way that he's sitting and peeking. So it wasn't the most damage-dealing play, but definitely was a high-impact play.
Yeah, no. Like, I think at that point in time, Music basically knew that he was going to be trading his IS-7 for the STRV, which is a trade you will make 10 out of 10 times in a situation like this, because you're essentially removing a lot of DPM from the enemy team, while you're making the opponents shoot at a tank that's always meant to take shots, right, with the IS-7. So, yeah, good job by, well, Mafia as a whole together. A lot of the players stepping up right now. And that was Darkside's pick even, not managing to pick up a single round on their map pick. And now, are things going to get better? Doubtful, because the up-and-coming map is going to be Ghost Town. And there is a reason that Mafia picked it. They are a very good Ghost Town team. And the map can be slowed down, can be played very technical. And we just saw 2 slow games.
Oh, yeah. I actually think that the Ghost Town games will be faster than these 2 Sand River games that we just saw.
I mean...
Yeah, but
probably, yes.
Darkside could force the issue as well, though.
I mean, both of those teams have all the options still on the table. We could see some fast cap strategies coming out of here.
You know what's the thing, though? Mafia is not the kind of team that you can see that I think will ever play like 3 or 4 lights. They just don't have the light players for it.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Then again, it doesn't seem like they need so many lights, because the ones that they have just generate the info that they require.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a thought that came in. You know, I was thinking about it. It's like, YOLO plays light, but who else would play light in that lineup?
That is a very good question, actually.
Maybe one day they'll answer that for us, you know? They randomly come in with 4 lights and you're like, never seen this person play light before.
Mm-hmm. Then again, maybe check the service records of those players. Like, some of them might be training light, playing light in Random Onslaught. That is always a possibility. I mean, there's obviously a difference from playing light in Random Onslaught and playing light in, you know, OLS, of course. But still. Mafia, though, coming into this one with double light, so I guess some questions get answered. Kono and YOLO going to be the dynamic duo, together with a Leopard 1, a CS, a Batchat, a 277, and a can opener.
Darkside in return, Mouse, triple Bat, triple CS63. That's aggressive key hand, but interesting lineup for Ghost Town, though.
Yeah, pretty interesting lineup.
CS is on the cap, Batchat's pushing past.
Possibly. We have seen fast cap strategies by CSs as well before. I remember a Cashback game where this happened, but both sides actually wanted to go for fast cap, so it ended up being a shootout then. This is not going to be the case here. Mafia want to slow down the game with this double light, and we can see them taking a lot of control over the eastern side. Meanwhile, that triple Batchat is gonna drive over towards the west. Is the RHM going to spot them is the big question here. That would be a big spot to come out, and indeed Darkside just going to continue driving with the triple CS. They find Barkis out in the open. The RHM is also kind of caught. This might be good for them.
Yeah, I mean, YOLO's in trouble. Barkis is in trouble. Question is, can they do enough damage to, like, for example, Vladislav to make this worth this? This CS63 combination again is just cutting this map in half. It's ingenious. It's beautiful even from Darkside. Absolutely rocking Mafia's Jimmy's right now, but a lot of strike damage coming in though as well, and that might be pretty bad in return as well. If Vladislav can stay alive, that would be huge. He will fall, but even then, losing 1 to gain 2 is a trade I think they're very happy with.
Absolutely, as the RHM of YOLO does fall as well. He was not able to make it out. Kono now trying to provide vision in his EBR. But yeah, we are fighting 6 combat tanks versus realistically 4 at this point in time. Darkside also with the HP advantage, and the Mouse, well, has arrived at the cap now. I don't think Trash Panda was able to do a whole lot in this match yet, but now Yuzek is going to take a spotting tower to kind of give his team a shot at assessing the situation.
The only thing that I see here that's really annoying for Darkside is that they're still playing against the light. You know, they know that Kono is in an EBR. They can't really counter Kono, and they also can't really sit in bushes. Why? Because there's 2 radio towers on Mafia's side.
Yeah, exactly. So after all is being said and done, I think the team of Mafia is still kind of in a playable position. Because, well, they also have infinite resets with the can opener. So
not entirely, though.
Yeah, but the biggest problem for Mafia right now is that they actually still need to generate a kill. moving forward. Like, at this point in time, they are losing.
There's also the secondary problem, right? That Darkseid will generate a strike NATO.
Yeah, with the CS63s, you mean?
Just across the board, you know, double CS63 strike. Kano, you can see, is coming towards the mid strike. They'll have another guy take the E1 strike. That's 4 already. They have the tanks, Kihan, to take 6 strikes if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, we see Profuse with the can opener has a singular strike of his own, but opts not to use it against Kano, who now picks one up as well. That is 3 strikes already. That is 1200 damage on towards a single tank if they get the spot on towards one. Generating those spots is right now the biggest issue for Darkseid. But yeah, Conrad now is able to start poking at Fresh Panda in the mouse, so that's another angle. Kano also getting found, so some trades not really going the way of Darkseid at this point in time, but they still have all the tools that they could ever want, and you can see the strikes going down on towards Profuse, minus 1200 immediately.
I mean, it's not a bad thing for them to try and focus out that can opener, to be honest. He's a target that they'll definitely be able to find again. You know, it's not like one of those medium tanks that they may not ever see again, but YOLO there, Kodo taking the information. Ooh, big blind. Shot. Important blind, because it buys time for his teammates to push this A-line in return. And now Mafia's kind of chasing the facts at this point. That was a beautiful blind.
That was indeed a beautiful blind. So yeah, Trash Panda right now anchoring for his team, and you can see the rotation around him that is being done by the double Batchat CS combination. The thing is, though, now they're getting kind of in the territory where the EBR does reign supreme. Because here, Kono can actually play with camo, can play with mobility. The problem, though, for Mafia is that there isn't really anyone to profit off of what Kono is doing, who now got an info tower and did use it.
The thing is, though, that Darkseid, they don't know it yet. They have the possibility to take an info tower of their own at this point, and they're still up a kill, Keyhand.
Yep. And they did lower the HP of Profuse to a point where he's almost one clippable for a Batchat. If one CS shot comes in, then this can opener might fall sooner than he probably expected. Hellmind now taking sort of a passive approach here, passive position. The map kind of has switched around, though. Big switcher going on. Mafia taking 2 strikes, have 3 of their own against the only 2 of Darkseid, and ooh, there was a reset in towards the info tower coming out. So Mafia demonstrating strike used. All right,
it even looks like a big strike actually.
I think it was used. Another strike does end up getting used, and yeah, it misses Kopiat. So they
that was
really
a waste, honestly.
Yeah, they really want to.
Another strike?
Kono? Yeah, I mean...
Okay, but they've reset it long enough for maybe Kono to get there on time. It's going to be close, though. There's like 3 seconds left on this information tower. Kopia doesn't get spotted out on time. He's spotted now. They do get it, actually. Just on time. I think it was like 1 second away from actually being dead for Kono in a way.
Yeah.
They know that TBR is amidst them now.
They were kind of all aimed with the double Batchat as well, but as I said, here, this area is where Kono is absolutely comfortable. He can play with his camo, and he now finally has enough tanks in support. So that was clutch, but also beautiful coming out from Kono. Now we'll just have to wait and see. There is no plane, obviously, available for Darkseid, so they don't really have the tools, actually, to dig out Kono. Like, what are they supposed to do? They can't drive at him. They'll get spotted, and they'll get killed.
Well, I think Trash Panda is just going to use the strike against Profuse. There we go. Now starts taking the strike back. That's his shot is coming in as well from one of the bad shots. Another strike. Profuse down towards 987. And that's the earlier strike damage coming in as well, right? Keyhand coming into effect here. And
I think so far he probably took like 1 shot of actual damage.
Yeah. And he's going to take another strike if he gets spotted out. And then he's going to be low. Yuzek running into Hellmine, though. Is there any cover for this man? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. The mouse is probably trying to get an angle, but Hellmine is absolutely going to blow up. And this means the kills are actually equal. It's going to be 2-2. Yuzek is going to take another strike as Kopiat was peeking, but Kopiat himself is pretty low. It will only take 2 shots from Kono to take him out, but he probably doesn't want to reveal himself quite yet.
No, and now Kano moving in the bad shot, running away again. Profuse is a linchpin though, 593 HP. Trash Panda could commit on him and kill him if he wanted to at some point. When he figures out, and Kano is taking a strike as well. The moment they figure out Profuse is there, Mafia can't sit. They cannot sit like this. It's not a winning situation right now. It's just not. It's not a scenario they can win, because once strike triggers on the east, they will know that it's the can opener on the strike, and they will just kill him. Good shooting from Yuzek though, finding some good shots. Yeah.
I mean, let's see, 3 for 3. Yuzek really doing a number on towards Trash Panda. Okay, the 4th one does not connect. Still, though, at range with a bad shot. 4 out of 5. That is everything he could have hoped for.
But it's on the wrong target, though.
It is kind of on the wrong target. Then again, Orzhek has now arrived. And if you want anything shooting at the mouse, it might
but look
be
at the rest. Look at E1. They're taking another strike here for the side of Darkside. They know Profuse is on there. I don't think Profuse should have been taking the strike altogether. I think they should have been avoiding giving away that info. They will find Trash Panda, they'll kill him, but I think they should double strike Profuse in return and kill him immediately.
Well, let's see if they do that. One of the strikes did just end up getting used. It does go down on towards Profuse. Kano still has a secondary one as Kopiat gets pushed by Kono. That is another kill. Darkside starting to run out of tanks.
Yeah, Darkside starting to run out of tanks, and Kano didn't use the strike against Profuse, and now they need to make 2 kills to come back in it. All the rounds have been closed, but they're slowly but surely just getting edged out of them over and over again. And they know that they could find Profuse, and it looks like the Bat is even going to go and find him, but it's not going to be enough.
No, it's not going to be enough at this point in time. Oh, the strike actually does end up getting used to reset the spotting tower, but that is all the tools in the bag that Darkside had. There are no strikes remaining. Scout and Shokorix also do not have any strikes built up for themselves. Now they're banking on the fact that maybe the EBR is gone, but, well, Kono is still in those bushes, and now, I mean, finally Shokorix gets the kill on towards Profuse, and finally Scout does find Kono, but maybe it's going to be too little too late, as both of them end up falling, leaving Mafia still in the winning situation, 3 versus 2, and Shokorix caught out in the open by Conrad.
Yeah, they would need to find Yuzek, but Yuzek is at K0, and it's going to be Mafia once more to win a very tight round to make it 3-0. They've all been very close, Gihan, but they keep getting away with it over and over again. Good for Mafia. For Darkside, yeah, they can't close out a game.
Yeah, and I mean, looking back at the start of the battle, it really was a beautiful opening for Darkside, right? They get 2 for 1, they get 1 light out, they get 1 277 out, and I think then the biggest mistake that they did was trying to contest the information against an EBR that's still there doing his rounds in the bushes. Although there was this point in time where if they pick up the info tower and the EBR dies, then I mean,
it was a 1 second difference.
And yeah, it turns out Yuzek was not only doing a good number on towards the mouse, he was in general having a pretty good game. 7k damage, 3 kills. Pretty nice.
Yeah, good stuff from Yuzek. Good gaming as well. And the sad thing is that Darkside lost his, though. The opening was so good.
Yeah, just catching 2 tanks for 1. Being up in HP, being up in everything. I think they didn't realize, maybe, that Mafia was playing with double light, and that's why they actually tried to contest the... well, it's not really the green on Ghost Town, but the bushy area of the map, if you will. That was the thing that cost them the round, essentially. And, I mean, we were kind of laughing about the strikes being used to...
it ended up working.
Reset, but, yeah, I mean, it worked. So who are we to criticize it? Match point, though.
Match point,
again, Ghost Town.
Again, Ghost Town. Initial opening from Darkside was amazing, though. cutting the map the way they did, it was they realized, I think, what strategy that Mafia was playing with the can opener in a way, because there was nobody close to them to reset. They spotted nobody coming down the lanes, and then they were like, okay, we do this. It was great. It looked amazing. And then, yeah, the end game wasn't that great.
I'm a bit concerned, though. Like, if Darkside hand themselves such an advantage at the start of a round, and they still don't manage to close it out, then what will they need to do so?
What do they need to change? It's a good question, Key. It's a very good question. They need to not lose at the end, you know?
Fair. Fair point.
I mean, I don't know what else. It's always like this late game that they just start slowly losing out, you know? It's...
Yeah. It's been the same story in every single one of the games that we saw. Like, opening wise and early game wise, it kind of works for Darkside, but then it just all starts falling apart at some point.
It's sad though, because they really, really deserved to win the last round with their opening that they did. That's the thing that makes me most sad, because it was ingenious. It was beautiful to watch as well, and then it didn't end up working, and it was like, oh, it's a bit sad, you know?
Yeah. And they probably like spent some time to come up with it, and probably spent some time like training and perfecting it, and then it still ends up not working. Pretty annoying for Darkside, and now, I mean, Mafia has the possibility to completely close it out clean. They are again going to be playing double light. It's Kono and YOLO in the RHMs together with an E4, a Leopard 1, a 277, and double E100, so quite the switcheroo.
Bit different altogether. Darkside in return is then the team with the can opener, the double bat, the double Leo, the EBR, and the RHM.
So it's going to be double RHM versus RHM EBR combination. What do you favor?
EBR RHM, actually.
All right.
EBR is just so powerful in so many ways.
Although we have to say, like, Mafia is quite a bit heavier this round than Darkside, as Darkside does start going EBR in the bushes once again. But YOLO does get found, takes a shot to the face immediately. Probably has to assume now that there is a light tank in the bushes, but doesn't know exactly where he is. YOLO doesn't have a plane available either. That one is still on Kono, as Trash Panda is going to get the spotting tower, and the WE100, Conrad and Yuzek, they have been marching since the start of the battle, and they have finally arrived.
Well, they went to get on the cap. It's interesting to see what happens on the cap, but they do reach it. Kano wanted to take the radio tower. Didn't end up actually being able to take it. He got shot by the light tank. Now, they will need to find a reset at some point. They still have plenty of time. They have a strike as well, so not too worried yet.
Same for me. I'm not too worried at this point in time. I mean, cap is down to 20 seconds, but the RHM does have the artillery strike available, as Shockrex takes a shot of damage, probably by Profuse, and Profuse should be pretty comfortable at this point in time, because he knows that the focus of the strike is going to be the cap, as we see the cap going low, but the strike connects on towards Yuzek, missing Conrad though, so only 23 seconds. Darkside need to do something.
They need one of those Leos to have a mini strike. They do though on Kano Keyhand. That's important to know. Like, look at Kano, he has a mini strike available. The secondary Leo does not. The plane came in and now it's on Kano. He needs to hit the reset. He does hit the reset.
Yeah, that baby strike can always be so small. Like, the radius is actually so small that it is not a guaranteed hit, but he does connect. But once again, they only reset once, so it's going to be 25 seconds. Clock is ticking again. And there is an RT strike being taken by Shockrex in the can opener. That might be the possibility to provide reset. But as all of this happens, Kono was trying to be a deterrent here for the people of Darkside to take the strike, which now Trash Panda is doing here. But Shokorix, I think he used the strike. Otherwise, it might be problematic here. Indeed, it does connect on Conrad. But that means Yuzek, who had the cap points in the first place, stays untouched. But now Trash Panda finally gets the strike as well.
Yeah, and he's going to put the strike, but he misses it. Mistake there from Trash Panda. Simply, or he still had it. No, it was the mini strike that missed. My bad. It was the mini strike that missed. Trash Panda puts the plate and does get the reset. So all is good in the end. And now, slowly but surely, I mean, Mafia is probably still okay with this, right? They're bleeding a little bit, but they're bleeding only 100s.
Exactly, as now Scout takes another shot of damage. Barkis arrives with the 277, and I think this is going to be the trigger for Darkside to start engaging on towards this 1-2 line, but I think Mafia are still okay with losing tanks here, as they are still the ones on the cap. It means the can opener now needs to reveal himself and open himself up to the fire of the Leopard. Bark is really starting to feel the hurt against the Batchats. Both Kopiat and Scout clipping out. Some missed shots here, but finally the 277 falls, and the E100s have left the cap.
Yeah, but it's good though for Darkside. I'm sure they're down in HP key hand, but they did find a lot of success. They killed the 277. They can now start taking the strikes again. Can blast his E100s back a little bit. And sure, they're down in HP. Ooh, they might lose Scout though. That would be important. He survives.
He survives for now 77 HP, so it's going to be one strikeable for the time being. But now Hellmind still a little bit forward, to be honest, a little bit far forward for my liking, as YOLO is going to come close. And, well, those trades are going to favor the Leopard 1, but he's actually trading in towards 2 tanks.
Yeah, and they're trying to double team him between Kono and YOLO. Trash Panda wanted to take the strike, did get reset there by a mini strike from Profuse, who's now moving in as well against Hellmine, who wants to escape but is afraid that if he does, he will die. So they send in the Leo. He doesn't retaliate against Kono. Now he's a 2-shot. They're going to flank him, but Trash Panda does take the strike. That's important. But yeah, Hellmine basically down and out. Trash Panda also down and out, though. That was important because that was the RHM.
Indeed, the RHM now gone. No planes available for Darkside anymore. You can also see Scout very low from his earlier engagement. The Batchats were trying to clip out against the E100s. Probably unsuccessfully so, as now Profuse starts going. Yuzek actually gets the pickup on towards the 1 Batchat here. This means Kopiat probably doesn't have the shells anymore to even contest against this Leopard 1. Yeah, indeed, he has 1 remaining. Profuse doesn't know that, but having made the Batchat a 1-shot, he is sure to peek again to remove this gun from the game. Indeed, he does. And this means that for now, Darkside is fighting with only 3 tanks.
It is a good game for Mafia. All of the rounds were close, but it's also a skill to be able to convert close rounds, and Mafia was able to do that in the first 3. This one, a bit more clear-cut. They ended up losing too much for that 1-2 line push after all. Got stuck in not so great positions, and Mafia was able to come back and start killing off the tanks, so good stuff there for them. And as a result, yeah, it's looking good.
It is looking very good indeed for Mafia here. 2 tanks remaining for Darkside, but to be honest, the Leopard and the can opener aren't really on the same flank as well, so they're not able to properly support each other. Ojek now pushing down Shokorix. A strike goes down. It was, I think, by the team of Darkside, so a little bit of support coming in for Shokorix, but with a Yuzek literally being on top of him, it's all not going to matter. Another strike by the Leopard connecting. But yeah, this round as well has Mafia written all over it.
So we go from the first 4-0 of the day, Kihan, to the second 4-0 of the day. However, those 2 matches, even though they had the same scoreline, were very, very different.
Yeah, in this one it felt like Darkside every single round had an opportunity, but failed to realize the opportunity, really. Whereas in match number 1, I mean, it wasn't close. Hit and run just driving over Yogurt, but this also means that 2 teams in the top 4 are gonna go home with 4 points today, and the places 5 and 6 still staying 1 point apart with this. It's going to be a tight race in between Darkside and Yogurt.
It will probably mean that these 2 teams, Yogurt and Darkside, they're going to be further away from the pack, Kihan, still, in a way. So it's not going to become easier for them. That battle is going to be more and more focused around that 5-6 place between Yogurt, between Darkseid, and I think they're still playing each other, and that will probably be the decider, if I had to guess at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing each other, I believe, on the last day of Phase 2. So actually next Thursday. So that might be quite the showdown, if none of them manage to pick up any other points. Which after today, well... Yeah. Both of them looking, or at least the scorelines for both of the matches suggest they kind of didn't stand a chance, which arguably for this one wasn't that much the case as during match 1, but still. The bottom line for both of them is the same. 0-4 in rounds and 0 in points.
It's, it's indeed the case. And for Darkseid, I mean, it could have as well been 3-1 at this point, for Darkseid. So they have to do some analyzing where their mid-round strategies are failing and what to do with this information in the future.
Yeah, I think, here it felt a little bit like Darkseid as well, after the first 2 rounds, started doubting themselves. And then, the executes didn't work out as well as they should. So you start second-guessing the executes. You don't drive in with as much, commitment anymore, which can end up hurting a push as well. So maybe for them, having a little bit of a break is good, but it's not going to be that much of a break, because tomorrow they're going to be playing again.
Yeah, but it could be worse, Tuki, and they could be playing again today already,
I mean, yeah. It's not going to be Super Sunday, though. It's only going to be 3 OLS matches today, and then on top we obviously have the OCS semifinal later on as well. But yeah, we have one more match coming today, and at least in Phase 1, that one didn't really deliver, but maybe this time it will, because it will be W against Cashback, which is going to be actually a rematch of the previous season Grand Finals. So we're going to hop into that one, but first of all, we are going to need a little breather, so we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
I have no idea when the last time was. Because it's not going to be the Ukrainian team of Cashback, the also Legends Series Season 2 winners. It's going to be W from the pits of hell coming through the lower bracket and cleaning up Cashback. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Onslaught Legends Series Season 3, sponsored by AMD. We've replaced Keyhand again with external. 4-0 as well in the second match external, but that does bring us to the highlight match of the day, in my opinion. Cashback facing W.
Another 4-0?
Would be something.
That would be. You know, I was actually just, during my break, looking at some of the past matches between Cashback and W. W has lost every match versus Cashback except for the final of last Season 2.
I mean, they won when it mattered, right?
Yeah, they did. That's right. That's when it mattered.
No, this is a good point to make. Cashback usually has the better of W. You could say that, that finals that W won, they deserve to win it. But historically, they're not likely to win against Cashback whatsoever. And this team had a rough start to the season. I think it's fair to say that they had a rough start. They weren't dominating, but they're growing into it, to be honest.
They also changed 2 players, right? So now they have, I forget who it is, but they have 2 new players. And W has also changed some players. So, there's been some swaps. Teams are getting back into their what they're comfortable with. Mentos joining W as well as Nepal. So, both teams still trying. I think we've seen them get more comfortable over this season.
Yeah, but Barbarian, standout player for his team. They need him now more than ever. They're the winners of Season 1. They would love to do it again.
Yeah, and watching this, I already know I'm going to see a lot of goatee emoji in the chat. So I'm going to have to close that.
There's indeed going to be a lot of goat emojis. But W is also the team this season a lot more consistent than before. While I say that, I'm thinking back to them losing against Yogurt. Still, they're more consistent than before. But they do have those, those days, those off days, right?
Every team does. And I feel like with Onslaught in particular, any team could have a good day. They could show up and win unexpected matches. We've seen it happen so many times with Yogurt, with even Lotus or Ping as well. We've seen Ping even make some surprise games or win surprise rounds. So any team really could show up and win any day. But in the end, it's about consistency.
Now, we have no doubts that both of these teams will be in the playoffs, but let's see where they match up today, right now. It's going to start off a different map set altogether again. It's going to start off after Ensk and Westfield bans on Pilsen external.
Ensk ban is interesting from Cashback, isn't it, Docky? Are they really good at Ensk?
It was Season 2 that they didn't lose a single round in a regular season, but banning it, it's interesting indeed. W banning Westfield, but again, Pilsen into Himmels.
So 2 kind of city maps, and then we'll see Murrow after that. Potentially, I mean, if one team was the 4-0, we wouldn't even make it to Murrow, but this is the best of 7s, so there could be potentially 7 games played here. And if we make it to tiebreaker, that is going to be on Studzianski.
If we get that far. I don't know what you predict, but I don't remember seeing many tiebreaker predictions.
So we all predicted 4-2 except Maf, who predicted 4-1. And honestly, I'm thinking historically, like I said, I looked at the matches, and Cashback usually has blowouts against W. So who knows? Maybe Maf has something here.
I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, for sure. I was also looking at it, I'm like, But then again, I want to give W some more credit, they're still champions, reigning champions.
Yeah, they are the previous season, OLS Season 2 champions. They won the entire tournament. They beat, what a Cinderella story. They beat Mafia, Hit and Run, and Cashback to to win the finals.
Oh yeah, they definitely they took the hardest road there, and they made it happen. So they did a remarkable journey into that finals, which they then end up winning. But that was last season. This is this season. Another Cinderella story will be hard.
Yeah, it will be. And W's a unique team, I'd say, because they have very unique strategies. We've seen Frugo cook, haven't we?
Yeah, but at what point is cooking too much?
There can be too much cooking, right? Too much cooking leads to burning. So, it could be too much. Cashback is, from what I've seen in the past seasons, I've seen them develop a little bit. They used to be a very methodical, not that they're not, but they're still a methodical team, but they used to always like split the map. They'd always play very spread, default. I've seen more like surprise aggressive plays out of them now. So they have developed their kind of play style to be more versatile. And I mean, W, you can't really ever expect what they're going to do.
Let's see if Frugo decides to cook today, though, external,
yeah, some stirves, 4K5s maybe.
On Pilsen.
I want to see 4K5s.
Yeah, I doubt it.
All right, well, going into this first game, W is bringing one mouse, a Batchat, 430U, double Foch B, 268, and an RHM. And interesting to point out, it's EOS playing the RHM, not Mentos.
Or Chlorf, actually, for that matter. Cashback in return, double i7, double mouse, double Foch B, and an EBR 105.
Yeah, so this...
Who's bench for W?
Jakifa?
Yeah.
Yeah, normally, sometimes Frugo benches himself, or, there's been times where he's been sick and not played. But he is playing this time. Cashback's starting off going towards the east, looking at the map. And they have the EBR just running straight down the 6 line. This is different because they had an RHM at the start, so they swapped to an EBR. W's more of a split. Mouse is going towards the 2 line, which means they're probably going to come back and make a 2-line play eventually. Same with Cashback. W does have more tanks to start on this side because they can rotate back the Batchat and the 268, whereas Cashback has just 2 mice. EBR is going to try to take this strike right away. A little bit greedy from him. Napal is going to try to prevent that. He's driving in.
He will try to punish, but he won't. Liberty gets away with the strike. A little bit of a steal there, for that EBR 105. Nepal tried to deny it, but didn't succeed. And now we can see both teams pulling all of the forces towards the field.
Absolutely. The mouse is also taking a strike in middle, so this is a big advantage for Cashback. They're going to have 2 strikes. W's going to know that. Some punish is coming out on EOS. He's taking some damage for peeking on top of this hill. He's going to have some information on where these shots are coming from, so W at least knows that most of the tanks from Cashback are on this field side. Nepal also taking a couple big shots. They know the Brainbreaker is on the 0 line. That's some good information for W, but what can they really do against 2 strikes? It's going to be hard to group up and commit to any kind of push.
Can they pressure 0 line? It doesn't look like it, but in return, Cashback is going for their own 0 line pressure on Nepal, now getting shot once more. Baby getting spotted out in the 268, takes a shot of damage as well, and Chlor finds Brainbreaker in that i7 with his Foch B. Brainbreaker can't do much against that except for just accept the entire clip, but in return though, Nepal is dead.
He is, and Brainbreaker is going to be traded back for this, and W will have the 0 line, but it looks like there's some movement from Cashback. Brainbreaker is going to be taken out here. It's just Mentos with one more shot. There we go. Some movement coming out from Cashback. It looks like they're going to disengage. The Foch Bs are kind of running away, but Barbarian's a little bit committed. He cannot run away. He's going to stand his ground and fight this out, it looks like.
Yeah, but he's getting chased down by Frugo, though, who hits the track shot immediately. And that is a dead Barbarian, because he also is going to peek as well. Takes damage in return, but they do find Barbarian. And all of a sudden, that HP lead swinging back towards W because of that double i7 pickup.
Yeah, and Cashback's even rotated a mouse as well. So they're very committed toward the 7-8 line. Frugo's just waiting for his clip. Once he's fully reloaded, they're going to be able to drive in. Aka taking another big shot from this 268. This 268 is just pumping out shots after shot. He's going to reload here, and with his ability, he's got a quick reload as well. So this is looking a little bit rough. W with the HP advantage, 2K. Guns are pretty even. They also have 1 tank advantage.
in the middle of the map though. Itox and IZ fighting it out, but it is Liberty they're helping as well on this area of the map with his EBR. Trying to beat Itox out, but with the strike coming in soon from EOS, IZ may not even survive this ordeal. It doesn't look like he will. I mean, I would assume that he gets struck back, and now Itox angling well against Liberty, who bounces the shot. There was good angling there in reverse against this EBR 105, but it's a 6-on-3. Big that is 6-on-2. As Squeezy and Liberty are the last two standing, and this great initial for Cashback, finding basically Nepal turning around rather quickly.
Absolutely, and that shot is hard in the EBR. I can give him some credit. With like 280 heat pen, it's hard to even pen a rear of a mouse with that. If you're having penetration issues, maybe something to see your doctor about.
Yeah, there's definitely things that could be done about it, depending on how severe they are. Of course, maybe some extra heat pen could be added. But no, Squeezy now coming in. Frugo's already on the map tactic for the next round.
Yeah, that's right. He's going back to his cooking. He's on his other screen. I just imagine Frugo has like a battle station, just all the tactics, all the previous tactics teams have played. I mean, this man puts a lot of effort into strategies, watching replays. And we've seen it pay off, especially, again, with Season 2 winning the finals. So a good first round from W, already starting 1-0. That's a strong start. This is Cashback's map pick, wasn't it? Is that right, Docky?
Yes. Okay. Because Cashback banned first and W banned, which means Cashback picks first, yes.
Yeah, and from this match, we see that 268 was just putting shot after shot, 8 shots, 7 penetrations. That's a lot of damage. Also, everyone on the team just all around did a lot. Nepal was the first one to get picked, but he was trying to prevent that EBR from taking the strike. Sorry.
You just say Aka.
Aka, that's better. There we go.
You know, if the name is too hard, you just make it, you shorten it down.
I'll just say AK. How about that? No, Aka's easy. But only 1 shot of damage.
Not really his fault though. Like, he's pushed into the coal pits in a mouse. You know, there's definitely there's no illusions that somebody told him to drive forward in the mouse. He didn't just randomly end there. But this IS-7 getting sent down 0 line, I don't think they expected a Fosh beat to be that close.
No, definitely not. And not only that, but the batch that was there, they had, I think it was 2 Fosh bees on the 0 line. So W did know that I7 was there just because of the shots that they took earlier in that game. But pushing alone like that was very risky. Maybe it would have been better to sit back and maybe let the game develop a little bit.
They already were generating a kill. That's the whole surprising part. That they were already generating a kill on Nepal in that 430U, right? They didn't need the size 7 pressure by himself. So it's a bit weird that they opted for that. It's trying to do too much too soon.
Yeah, I think so. It was a little bit greedy. I think that they probably didn't have the information that the Fosh bees were over there, and they didn't have an RHM. So they just probably didn't know what was on the 0 line. Maybe thought it was free, but yeah, it was. I think I'd agree. It was just a little bit too much too soon. Should have held back.
Yeah, I think that the I7 kill that got generated, and it's like domino. He dies, Barbarian dies, and the game dies with it.
Yeah. Well, going into this second side, we see both teams already open towards field. It's not the only way to play this map. They can absolutely play the city side as well. We've seen that very often. Teams playing cap pressure. So, we may see a different way played this, but that was a fairly standard round, I'd say. Neither team really came out with anything too crazy, but W just showing a little bit more patience in their play, and it was a strong result.
Yeah, I think, W reacted well to what was against them, and it shows, they knew that Nepal was basically dead, but they do come out winning, and I think they're very happy that they won that round as well.
Yeah, it's really important. Starting off 1-0, it's good for the momentum. We were talking about that earlier. Having that momentum, that carries through some wins for sure. Being on the front foot can help you win a game just because of the emotions. And both of us, we've been in those situations before. you know, we both played many tournaments in our time, so we know how important that momentum is.
Back in my day.
Back when I used to have hair.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Well, going into this second round, W is bringing an E100 350T57 heavies, a 430U 268, and an E4. So no light tanks. No light tanks versus the one EBR of Liberty. That could be very potent, especially in a no light tank game. A K91, that's the interesting one. Triple E50M, a mouse, and an E100. K91 is a very interesting pick. It is. It was buffed somewhat recently. It can spin the turret fully now, even in the rear, because it used to have a limitation.
180 degrees, right?
Yeah, 180 degrees, yeah. So now it can spin more, and I think there was something else buffed about it, but I don't recall.
Reload.
Well, reload, okay. So yeah, not a bad choice. E50M's all just sitting here looking for a shot. Looks like they're waiting for an EBR. That's actually an interesting tactic. Since Cashback doesn't have RHM, they don't know what W is starting with, so all these tanks are sitting here waiting for something to cross. Look at that, already got some punish. It's not as much as I would like to see, but one shot of damage to start the game, not too shabby.
One shot is one shot. I think it was more looking for a bad shot crossing than anything else.
That could be. Yeah, definitely all four of them able to see pretty clearly what would have crossed there. But that's also a lot of information for W. They probably heard those shots hit the ground and miss. W is setting up heavily in the city. So since Cashback has the EBR, both teams don't really have much information on where all of them are. W just knows that there's a lot of tanks who shot at their 430 crossing. But that's enough information, I guess, for the 430 to take this strike for free. So that's one strike in W's favor. No one is contesting the middle strike at the moment. There's also the one-line strike, so those are both open. Both teams look like they're kind of waiting for something to happen. Cashback rotating their E50Ms back towards the 8 line, and W is just lying in wait.
I mean, W doesn't have this light tank, so they need to somehow engage with this lineup, though. You think they can sit back and wait for Cashback to figure out everything with the EBI?
Yeah, that's the problem, Docky, is that at some point this EBR is just going to keep prodding his nose where it can go, and just eventually he's going to get more information than W would want to give away. But who knows? Maybe this is going to force Cashback to make a play on the 8 line. That could be what W is waiting for, is just waiting for the Cashback to push the 8 line before W pushes the city. But Cashback's also really protected. The mouse is very safe, the E100 is very safe, and they have a K91 in K1. So that prevents W from being able to cap easily because of all the angles that Cashback would have to shoot the cap. Napal is trying to run here, and it takes
so
him
lucky
for that one shot. Yeah,
could have taken
a lot more.
Could have taken 3 shots easily.
Yeah, could have taken a lot there.
I mean, W is doing a good job at collecting strikes, though.
Yeah, they're going to get a third one here, and they're just going to hold on to all of those because once a big push comes out, they'll drop all 3 of them on the same group, most likely. And they're starting cap pressure here. Liberty in the EBR is going to be able to take a strike. However, never mind. W wants to prevent that strike. I guess since they have 3 strikes, they can just force this cap pressure and keep resetting that strike, which was going to make Cashback potentially have to drive in.
Yeah, but it seems like that is not really a possibility either, as Barbarian does find resets on Mentos. I mean, there's 2 tanks that are able to cap right now without getting reset, but look at the 3-4 line. There's already a mouse starting to move in. That's I said full HP, trying to potentially block if needed. He's getting picked by Klurf. He's driving back. Maybe wasn't needed at all. Minus 3k. Oh no, I said there. And there's the big strike coming in. That will hit home on basically all of them. It's a mini strike. But what a punish in return on that mouse.
750. That's right. That was 750 from a mini strike. Just the K91's mini strike. And that mouse powered the 257s. Aka is also taking a few shots through that little hole in the wall there. What is W going to do here, though? You know, they don't really have the ability to put this cap pressure anymore. Cashback has so many angles. I think they're going to have to make a push-off. And Napal gets picked up on the other side.
Barbarian's having a field day, though. It should have a field day in that K91. Like, sure, it's a low alpha tank. Itox is dead, peeking out first, dying. And he had a K91 320 alpha, but it's like he's slowly but surely blowing them up. He does get spotted out, but they don't have the damage to kill him anyways. And he's basically preventing them from capping. And sure, they're going to push little, but they're all going to die for this.
Yeah, and they're just running out of steam. They don't have a plane to spot this K91, so they, just have to sit there and basically take it. And not a great position to be in. W only 3 tanks left to Cashback 7. This K91 still very healthy. This is absolutely Cashback's game, but 1-1 on Cashback's map pick, not too bad. I'm sure W is pretty happy with that.
This round was a hard one for them. Capping against strikes. I mean, I said almost died for it, but he did bait them all to come to the same gap where he got the triple reset, and that bought him enough time to, in the meantime, kill Nepal and force the hand of W, right? So you see them pushing through then, but once they push through, it's going to be super hard for them to actually kill anything.
Yeah, there's not much to pick. I mean, there's just that mouse, which they did a lot of punish to. It was like 3.1k in just a few seconds. But you really want to be killing the mediums. The mouse doesn't matter that much. The mediums are grabbing strikes. They're getting angles to reset the cap. And wow, look at that. 268 was not able to find really any impact in this game. 0 damage with just 1 shot. And at least the E100 was able to do much. But without any light tank and a slow delayed cap, I think you just gotta give too much to Cashback. You just give him too much space.
I think they were hoping for like an early fight that never came. 7k on the K91 though,
Wow. That's a lot. Even hitting those little strikes did 1,250 damage. 1.2k with his strikes. So that's just his personal individual strikes.
No, it's very, very good actually from the side of Barbarian hitting those shots, and we know that the K91 heat is not it's never the easiest to shoot with, but he does find it. He finds great success, and for his team, good round. Brings us into Himmelsdorf though.
Yeah, and this is going to be W's map pick. 2 city maps. We saw kind of interesting styles played. First side was a lot of Foch Bs and looking for the field play, and second side. Cashback played a little bit more kind of spread, waiting for, just looking to make a play, and W was just kind of sitting there and waiting for that, a reaction to be made, or something to open up for them. So Himmelsdorf, kind of a similar play style. Either you can be the aggressor, or you can kind of sit and wait for the opponents to make a play. When I watched the finals last season of W versus Cashback, I did see that W looked like they definitely did their homework. Frugo must have done his homework against Cashback because they had a lot of strategies specifically made to counter Cashback.
Yeah. Can they do this again? Himmels is not such a played map, like it's in there, but most teams don't really play it. So how much countering is there to be done on this map?
Yeah, Himmelsdorf is interesting. It's one of my personal favorites. What would you say is one of your favorite maps, Doc?
Ghost Town. I talked about it with Johan, just because of the variety of things that are possible.
Yeah, Ghost Town's an interesting one. What about the old Ghost Town? Remember that one?
Yeah, that was also a very fun map, actually.
Yeah, back when boosts were a thing.
Oh, yeah, you boosting T32s up and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, back in my days.
Back in my days, guys, things were different. These kids don't understand the struggles we went through.
Oh, no. I remember very well. But when you've been playing since 2011, like the both of us, there are a lot of struggles to be had.
I've seen all the metas. All of them. But yeah, Himmel's back with this approach as well. We don't see a lot of hill play, though, at all, to be honest.
No, which is interesting. I'd say from the first season, right, there was a lot of hill play. I mean, every round, teams were going 3 to 4, with 3 to 4 to hill. Batch hats, Foch Bs. Now it's pretty rare. I've seen W play a light tank before, and the light tank spots because mostly teams play, slow tanks on Himmelsdorf, so the light that is potentially able to spot all 7, and he knows right away if he's able to take hill for free by himself. But typically, aside from that, usually it's just one tank going hill. Going into this game, W's bringing an E100, 60 TP, T57, Hurricane, Bliska, Foshby, and they are bringing a light tank. RHM Panzer Wagon.
Brain Breakers, the CS63, then double mouse, triple 50B, and a 60 TP for the side of Cashback. Now, there is a chance that he doesn't spot the CS, though.
Yeah, not the CS, and potentially not the 50Bs, but Cashback's going to be looking to do something aggressive. 350Bs, that tells me they're maybe going to push through middle, maybe going to push one line. Probably not going to go hill, but something aggressive for sure. Clerf using his plane, he's only able to spot 2 tanks. That's not great on Himmels, but one of them at least was, I think it was a 50B, and was going towards hill. So that is big information. Both teams actually playing very heavily on the hill. It's funny, we just talked about that. But however, the Hurricane from W is trying to take the strike away right away, but instead takes 1 shot of damage. But he's found a safe spot. Looks like he may be able to pick up this strike now.
Yeah, it does seem like EOS is able to take that strike. The Light is able to take the information tower. And I think now W will already realize that there is triple 50B climbing the hill and they don't have the numbers.
They don't. There's a lot of HP on the low side for Cashback. That's a big strike. 1,200, is that 1,200 damage? Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Ooh, Cashback is afraid though.
Yeah, they're not sure what to do. They know that W has the radar, but I think they've just got to commit. They've already drove all the way up to this hill. They have 4 tanks on hill. They have to really like wonder, is W going to have enough to meet this? But it looks like taking that 1 shot has already made them hesitate. They're just not sure what to do. We can see they're kind of spinning in circles, waiting for a call to be made. And it looks like the call is come back off the hill. So all these 50Bs are...
There's a timing here though.
There is. Yeah, I think they may be able to push up the 8 line. And here comes the mouse making some space. He may cross. This Hurricane's stuck in middle. They know that. They may try to make this this pick.
They're hitting the timing right now. The timing is indeed that 8-line push. IOS in the middle there is in trouble. Can't really run away. Is forced to. Now the 50Bs are starting to swarm. And W complacent. They didn't anticipate this. They didn't even think about it. They will come down the road. But by the time they arrive, though, external, you can see already -2 tanks for the side of W. Now Mentos and Itox trying to come back in. It's not the easiest road down, but they're just getting awaited by the Cashback team. They're like, please do come down. Please jump. We'll be waiting for you. And yeah, they'll find Brainbreaker on the hill probably, but the cost of this is going to be 3 tanks on the lower side. Cashback do make the perfect call, and W didn't anticipate this, although it was something they could have predicted.
They could have, but this is still going. It's probably not going to be possible for W. They are -5k HP and -2 guns. Cashback is going to be able to pick up Frugo here as well. Squeezy just 1 more shot to put out. Itox is almost loaded, but he's not going to load in time to be able to get out any damage. Little just has to hit this shot. There we go. Only 2 tanks left for W. I think I agree with you. Cashback just hit a perfect timing. You noticed that. You recognized it right when it was happening. That CS was stuck. Cashback saw that, and they're able to make that push on the 8 line work very well. Yeah,
and you could see as well it was even worse for W because they were pulling that T-57 up baby towards the hill. So the 8-line trader tank, that was a mouthful, wasn't even there. He was climbing on the hill, and you know, coming down, there is this road down, but this road down also leads into a situation that you have to jump down, and there's like 6 Cashback tanks there waiting. They're like, jump, come on, jump, try it.
Yeah, the only time they'd encourage a jump there, but even when you do, you've already lost 2 tanks. You know, you want the HP to be there before you lose the tank so you can spread it out better. Baby looks like he may not give any damage out to them. He's potentially thinking about jumping here too, but no, last tank going down, and a good clean decision from Cashback.
It was a great call. It was the reason why I say W could have predicted it is because it was also the obvious one in a way. There's not many plays left if you're Cashback at that point. You don't know exactly how many tanks are on the 0 line. You could be evenly matched, and you know that they have a Bliska, so evenly matched, it's like you're probably not going to win it. So you have 2 options. You sit there and wait, or you do this quick rotation down. And they went for the quick rotation down, And I think W there underestimated Cashback.
Yeah, they looked pretty comfortable sitting on the hill, waiting for something to happen. They definitely expected to get pushed. I think because Cashback, W knew that Cashback didn't have information on like 3 of the tanks waiting on the 0 line. So they were expecting Cashback to push them.
I mean, Cashback obviously knew that they had a light, right? But outside of that...
Yeah, which, speaking to that point, knowing that they have a light kind of encourages Cashback to want to take a fight, because the light tank's very easy to kill if he comes into the battle, and he doesn't have much health. So you generally want to take a fight when the other team has a light tank.
Yeah, so good, really good stuff there from Cashback, and W tried to cook, but this time no such thing possible.
No, and Little doing 4.6k, he was on the low side, so that's a lot of damage he got out, both probably into the 60 TP and the Hurricane of Ios on the low side, and just an uncomfortable position to be in for that Hurricane. Ios sitting on that strike, you know that if you leave, you're taking 1.5k, if you stay, you're probably the pick.
I do think he had a moment to leave there, though. When the mouse was first spotted on the 8 line, I think that is his... Like, there was this moment where the 60p and the mouse are getting spotted on the 8 line, coming around the corner. You know that there's only one more mouse aiming for you. That is, I think, a moment for Ios to escape.
Yeah, that would have been the best opportunity. Regardless, you're taking damage getting out. It's just about getting out alive at that point, so... Leaving would have been the best right when he saw that mouse.
I think it's almost the same for the 60p. The 60p also had to be ready to run away as far as possible, you know? I don't think anybody in the W team really considered the possibility of those 50Bs coming down 8 line.
Yeah, definitely not. And you can't spot it either. That whole road going off the hill for the 50Bs, there's nowhere that you'd be able to spot them leaving. So you kind of just get surprised right when they're on top of you, and that's what happened. W just had to, I guess, be ready when nothing was happening in the game for 30 seconds. Just be, I guess, ready to run or expect something to happen like that. But it's a tough position to be in. So, you know, there's not much, I guess, really to be done. They just had to gamble or make a risky play.
What are we expecting from the second round on Himmels? Yeah, we talked about we don't see a lot of hill plays anymore, and then they went hill. It's, you know, the interesting part is that they're both trying to mirroring each other in a way.
Yeah, they are, actually. You're right. The first Pilsen, they mirrored each other almost perfectly. Second Pilsen, I mean, they played slow. Wasn't a mirror, but played slow. But the third Himmels, third round on Himmels, they perfectly mirrored. And going to this game, look at that, 4 268s from Cashback.
Yeah, but look at W.
Foshby, 3 268s, 268 meta, I guess. Cashback, Foshby, 121B, 4 268s, and a 268 V4. So kind of 5 268s.
It's interesting. It's really, you can see that they either train against each other or they have similar philosophies, right?
Yeah, pulling out all these 268s right at the same time on Himmels, probably trained against each other.
After both going 0 line on Himmels?
Yeah, you're right. They're kind of just matching each other's energies here. Full team of 7 tanks from W, just driving through the middle. If Liberty goes a little further, this could be really bad for him. All 7 tanks from W are going to be able to get this kill. They're going to have to keep driving. They could drive straight into the 268s on the 8 line, but Cashback is going to be following this up. Their full team is able to get in this fight as well. First kill goes down. It's Aka, actually, not Liberty, but 2 tanks in the favor of W.
Aka didn't even pop his ability at first, and then he took like 4 or 5 shots at the same time because those 268s, you know, they were reloading. And they were reloading early, some of them, because they already hit Liberty. And now Little's in trouble as well. And there's still tanks coming in from Cashback from the outside. But they've done a good job at trading the HP department. And now they're going to try and move as a blob on towards Klurv, Nepal, and Mentos. Can they do it? That's a big question. Nepal's the one shot now. Squeezy finds the kill. Brainbreaker wants Mentos. He will not find it. The strike is picked up as well. Can they find the kills here? No, Frugo coming back in, clipping out on one, and now Chlorf and Mentos trying to get the other one. Chlorf with the track, trying to push Twilight. He is doing it as well, keeping him away from Mentos, trying to body block, but Barbarian finds a kill. Twilight finds another. Barbarian finds another shot now. Squeezy is trading it out against Ios, but Ios finds the kill, finds another tap after. That's the power of the 268 there as well. And this opening strategy from W makes it all even once more.
Absolutely. What a play. 7 tanks down middle. That's like a rush B strategy. And it paid off. That 1-1 was not expecting it. And that's what I was talking about with W. They can just be unpredictable in some of these matches. And there's no fog of war. Himmelsdorf is a map without light tanks typically. No information until you spot tanks. So plays like that can be made and they can pay off.
What a round for W. What a success. And Aka, the reason I had to giggle is because, like, the way you see him, he's speaking out, he's starting to face in his push B. He takes like 2.3k damage, and then you see the ability pop off, and it's like, I'm sorry, but that's it. I don't think that one's going to save you, but I'm willing to see how this one plays out.
Yeah. Well, even I would guess he maybe was waiting to get some damage out so he can get a 2-3 before using it.
At least level 2.
Yeah, but would have been better just to use level 1. Either way, he probably wasn't surviving it. But EO's getting 6k damage in the 268. We saw the power of that 268 in the end there, as you pointed out. He got that kill, immediately another shot after. That's the power of the ability. When you have that active and you pick up a kill with it, you load almost immediately. It's not immediate, maybe like a second. Fast enough that you can do a 2-tap.
The thing is, if you have like 4 or 5 of them, most likely one of your 268s is going to find the kill.
Yeah. And the other thing, in this game, they could load HE against a Foch B. When you penciling with HE with the 268 ability, the reload is insane. It's like 4 seconds. So the 268 is actually a great counter to bad chats, even though bad chats weren't played. I'm just mentioning that, but they are a great counter to bad chats. But 1-1 on Pilsen, 1-1 on Himmels. At least it's not a 4-0. But next we're going into W's second map pick, Murovanka. What do you think we're going to see on this map, Taki?
7 268s.
I like it. Just all load HE. 7 268s their ability. I mean, I think with the DPM ability, you could win the game in maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah, if you pushing in from 2 sides, for sure.
Yeah, 268s seem... I think that's funny because, in the past, T57s weren't played very much, and then the ability got buffed to starting level 2 at the beginning of the battle, and then people started spamming them, and even after the nerf, they're still very often played, and now it's kind of the same thing with the 268. 268 was never touched, the ability's been buffed, the tank's been buffed, and now we're seeing them very frequently, and seeing how powerful the abilities are. So it's like, each time we get these ability buffs, people realize the power behind the ability.
Yeah, and that makes for a diverse kind of setups that we've been seeing, especially this season. Last season we had the Juggernaut. Was it Juggernaut? Right.
Yeah, it was nerfed.
Yeah, we had Juggernaut, then that was nerfed. We had T57 this season. That was nerfed. Now we have 268,
Yeah, so meta's shifting all the time. Which is good because, you like it allows teams to have to learn the new meta. They have to keep up and be consistent. And it also is fun because maybe some people don't have a 268 and maybe 268 strong now, but maybe next season it'll be the IS7. Who knows?
Well, for now it's the K91 actually, apparently, as Cashback is bringing 3 of them, an E50M, an IS7, a Foch B, and an RHM Panzerwagen.
And for W side, no light tank, but they have a 268, Foch B, Bliska, Centurion Action X, CS63, T57, and 277. No light tank, that means they're going cap. Or pushing middle, but there's no way they can contest.
How are they going to cap against 3 mini strikes?
I don't think they will, but they don't know about those mini strikes yet. But Cashback's looking like they're splitting, pretty default spread. W opening up towards the 2 line and the middle. CS is going to be going immediately onto the strike middle, so Clerf will potentially be able to pick up a free strike here. And Cashback doesn't have much information right now, but they're going to be picking up this radar. They do get it, so they're going to see all 7 tanks from W. That's good information. They see a lot of tanks on the 2 line, which is going to give Cashback the indication that they should probably push and clear this forest. That could be trouble for W. There's blood in the water. With this Foch B, Bliska, and CS in the middle, they don't have many places they can run to from here.
The information will reveal everything, but Mentos is actually going through it, not picking it up, so they're opting not to have the info. And now you can see that Bliska and Foch B slowly but surely starting to get surrounded by Cashback. And W are not really doing anything off of this. No cap pressure, no push. They're just kind of waiting and seeing what is going to happen. But I don't know if that's the right approach here.
Yeah, Cashback doesn't have strikes, so there is the possibility W could cap, but they have 3 mini strikes, as you pointed out. So they kind of probably recognize, seeing those K91s, they can't cap. Some damage going on into EOS, a little trade between EOS and Akka, and it looks like Cashback is committing to this push. They're going to try to look up to clear these tanks in middle. A lot of damage going to Ios. He's got down to under 1,000 health now, and Cashback is going to continue this push.
And Klurf already getting chased down by Twilight, while in the 1-2 line there is an attempt by W to find something, but the K91s, they're also pretty fast, to be honest. They back off to A3, they back off to C5. Itox now surrounded as well, Barbarian's close to dying, but that doesn't really matter. The I7's not the tank you expect to carry this game anyways. And the K91s, yeah, they have heat ammo as their high pen ammo, but when they're shooting at numerous different angles, they will find these shots against this W lineup. And W very confused what was happening in this game. They didn't seem to have a reaction, and even if they did start the capping signal against 3 mini strikes, you're not capping.
I think that's what caused them to be hesitant in this game. They know they can't cap. Mentos picked up as well. That's 5 tanks down for W. Cashback hasn't lost a single tank yet. Only 2 remaining. Frigo's going to be the next to fall here. A strike coming out as well. And now just 1 tank left. I think W just didn't know what to do once they saw all these K91s. They know they can't cap. They're afraid to push. And they kind of got stuck in middle. They had to run away from the middle. But yeah, they just... I think they also didn't have information. They didn't have either radar tower, whereas Cashback got the radar and was able to see all 7. W was able to see and just spot manually all the tanks with Cashback, but it was just a little too late.
Good stuff there from Cashback. Absolutely dominant strategy on this Moravanka. With these K91s, we've seen 1 on Moravanka before. We've never seen 3 though.
Yeah, and it is a good tank, I'd say, because it has really high DPM. Mini strike is good for a lot of reasons, but like you said, never seen 3 in any game before. It's rare usually to see just 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like I don't see too many K91s in general, so 3 of them together is a bit interesting, you know?
Yeah, they put out good damage, at least 2 of them at the top of their team. Brainbreaker still able to get out quite a bit himself. 2.4k, it's not too shabby, but some of that damage comes from just a strike, so you know it's pretty free uncontested damage, which is always nice to have. But a 7-0, it's a strong statement from Cashback. This is W's map pick, 3-2 on match point for Cashback, so they need to win the next round, and they can close out this match.
Can they do it though? That is the big question. Can they do it? I think they're in a prime position now, and that would also make our predictions right. Well, maybe...
That's a good point.
Did you go for 2?
Moff is wrong.
Exactly.
Right now, right? 4-1. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
come on.
It's you know what? Yes. Yeah, Moff's misery in terms of predictions does make my happiness a little bit.
Well, we are all still sitting pretty. Potentially a 4-2. We can get some points here on our caster predictions. But W, seeing what they did last game, not working, they may change it up. They may try their light strategy. That's what I would expect. They saw that playing kind of slower and a little heavier didn't really pay off for them. They may choose to go with their light tank strategy. But yeah, we'll have to see. Cashback's probably not going to bring 3 K91s again, but it did work out really well.
If 3 works, why not 4?
That's it. That's what they're missing. Yeah, maybe just 1 more. And I mean, this strike ability was buffed recently, but I believe it's only the prestige points you make from damage dealt with your mini strike. I think that's all that got buffed. Like a 40% increase or something like that.
I don't remember entirely. I think it also was less prestige points to activate, but I'm not sure. It's either way 2 shots on the K91 or 3 shots to activate, because it's 2 shots on a Leo, it's 3 shots on a CS, I think. Depending on the rolls, of course, as well. But it's also more to take into account, because it's also like damage received also gives you points.
Yeah. And as a player, I'm not always paying attention. But that increase in prestige points gained also comes from big strikes. So when a CS, Leo, or K91 uses a large strike, they also get more prestige points towards their ability. So that was the buff that happened. But coming into this next game, we are seeing K91 W taking some inspiration from Cashback. 1 K81, 430U, 3 268s, and EBR and an RHM, so 2 light tanks for them.
Yeah, Cashback, 4 BZs, a K91, a 430U, and a Forge B, so no light tanks, and a quick strategy to cap.
Yeah, and you should be favoring W in this situation, right? 4 BZs, you hate them.
It's the perfect comp tank, but it's... you know where I like playing BZ?
Where?
Cliff.
Cliff? Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good tank for that. Radar is coming out from both teams. All 7 tanks are spotted. They have all information. W's looking like they may just drive into this confrontation. There are 2 BZs on the cap right now with a 430, so that's 3 cap.
Little has a mini strike though to try and deny the East. Sorry for interrupting him. That's an interesting note, I think. He could deny the Eastern strike, maybe.
He could, but he doesn't have any charge right now, so Itox needs to get some damage out to be able to get his charge built up. But yeah, there's no strikes right now for W.
No, little reset with the mini strike, I think. Little reset with the mini strike on the Eastern strike. You know, the one in the forest? He had the mini strike because of the information tower. Will there be a reset? Cap out. Is there going to be a reset? Is it going to be 4-2?
I don't think so.
I think it's over. It's actually over as well.
That's it, 4-2. And a cap out.
I mean, they would kill them anyways. Brutal. Look at them now. Look at the situation.
They would. 5k up, yeah. And they could have just, like, they realized they could have pushed out at any point from the cap. But wow, even with a K91 getting capped out.
Yeah, because he didn't get anything. So he was on the strike. And the interesting thing is there is what happened in the beginning. So you have Forge B shielding the K91 of Little. Little takes the communication tower. The communication tower activation, since they don't have any light, spots like 6 tanks or 7, depending. He gets enough for his mini strike. He puts the mini strike on Itox on the forest, which, you know, without a light you can't reset it normally. And he doesn't get the strike, and they can't reset anymore. So everything works out beautifully for Cashback.
Beautifully, that's right. It did. 4-2, that's pretty beautiful for them. And denying that strike, denying the info, or denying their K91 from getting reset, that Foshby, like you pointed out, all around just a really good play from Cashback and a fast game. That hurts for W. Hurts a lot. Losing the match to a cap out. Especially in that fashion, and 4-2. Like I pointed out earlier, W only beat Cashback once in the finals last season, so you know, keep your eyes out for them in the finals.
And they're just keeping the streak going, you know?
Yeah, they're waiting for the finals.
They're waiting for the opportune time to defeat Cashback.
That's right. But
this was beautiful, though. I don't know if they intended it this way, but it worked out so well with the mini strike on the K91, into the reset, into the cap out. It was great.
Yeah, and I see Cashback do that a lot. They do cap pressure with denial of strikes very often. We see that on Sand River. I saw you pointed that out when you were casting. With,
they were the first ones to do it, like denying all the strikes and cap pressure at the same time.
Yeah, so they're pretty well known for doing that. And it just works off so well. They are able to execute that so perfectly every time.
It was a great game from Cashback and a great victory as well. They will be keeping up with Hit and Run for the number 1 and 2 positions. I don't think anything is going to change there whatsoever. I think Hit and Run will stay first after today, and Cashback will stay second. But they will get a little bit of lead on those teams chasing them down, which is always good. When we come back after the replays, we have one more match, which is for the OCS, the second league, to see what those teams can do. But before that, let's take a quick look at some replays.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.
And here we are back for the last match of the day, and this one's going to be a little bit of a different one. We said it already, it's going to be sort of the semifinals of the second league. We have the team of Vortex against Curillo. So some names that we haven't heard yet. Vortex, pretty much a wild mix of Europeans, and Curillo, mostly Ukrainian.
That's right, and both teams have had success, respectfully, in their division. But I think from what I saw, it looks like Vortex is the favorite team in this situation. And they've pulled off, is that right? They've pulled off much better results overall. And I think every time they've played Curillo in the past, from what I saw, they've won, I believe. So I was looking that up on Wikipedia. So Vortex is the favorite team in this matchup.
Absolutely. That being said, upsets can happen. Vortex also managed to get the easier result in sort of the matches before this, because both of these teams have already had to play a match on a Thursday, I believe, where Vortex won against Jesters 5-2. You can see it here on stream. And Curillo had to go to tiebreaker against Band. So now both of them are going to be facing it off in this best of 9, and the winner is going to be able to play Weekend, which are the, season champions of the OCS, at least regular season, but they have to double down on this, although given what we've seen from Weekend so far in the OCS, it was kind of smooth sailing for them, so Vortex and Curillo, even after this match, the winner of those is going to be facing a challenge.
Absolutely, and Weekend has been quite dominant in OCS. They're also a Ukrainian team, I believe, and led by Sunshine Boost, I'm pretty sure. Sunshine. And they're going to be able to sit and watch the match between Vortex and Curillo. That's a little bit extra preparation. It's nice being in the grand final position because they get to watch all the previous games of these teams. That's a lot of homework they can do. They can, study their strategies and have an idea of what to expect when it's their turn to play their match.
Exactly. That being said, all of those teams will probably have met each other at one point or another during the OCS seasons, where more often than not, Weekend has obviously taken the victory. That's why they're here. But yeah, with the OCS, it's always a bit like of a question mark what we are actually going to see, because it is sort of there is a lot of on the line for the teams here, but at the same time, Vortex and Curillo don't want to show everything today. But if they don't and end up losing, then it didn't matter what they did over those past 6 or more weeks, which is actually how long the OCS has been going on for. So I think both of them will be trying to play at their fullest.
That, and they have to. It is a best of 9, so best of 9 is first of 5 wins. They've got to give it their all, and that's going to be the strongest team to take the win in that situation. With the community predictions here, we can see Vortex is heavily favored. They are the international team. 76%, that means 3 in 4 people are favoring Vortex to win this. Compared to Curillo, a Ukrainian team, 24%, only 1 in 4 people are favoring them to win.
Yeah, and we can see the lineups here as well. And we said before, Vortex is basically a wild European mix. So I think the language there is going to be English, language of communication, just like W. So not the worst comparison to draw. On the other side, Curillo, mostly a Ukrainian team. I guess a main language there of communication is going to be Ukrainian. So now the question is, do we compare them to Darkside or Cashback?
Well, I'd say Dark Side. I don't know if I get ahead of myself, but that is true. They could be compared to either of them.
Yeah, that being said, though, I think a lot of those names might not mean a whole bunch to some of the viewers, but I think there is a lot of experience coming in here as well with, for example, Herman, Impy, Andrea for the team of Vortex. And then on the other side, you have God, Lub, Tansov, Templeton, Morvik, people that all have made appearances at one stage or another in past Onslaught tournaments or also in 15v15 tournaments. So all of those players, I think is very fair to say, they know how to hold a mouse and a keyboard.
That's right. Accomplished players. They've done a lot before. Maybe some players in the competitive scene would recognize their names very well. For the viewers at home, maybe they more so only recognize OLS players, but still a lot of experience under their belt. For the pick bans, Vortex is picking Murovanka to start with. As we can see, Curillo's picked Cliff and Ensk. Then the second pick for Vortex is Ghost Town. And if we make it a tiebreaker, that's going to be on Himmelsdorf.
I mean, we love ourselves a good old Himmelsdorf tiebreaker. I think that is just about the most iconic combination of things to happen. First of all, we have to get there, though, and it's kind of interesting to see this pick and ban, because normally the favorite team is the one picking like the more shootouty, brawly maps, but this is not the case here. We are all kind of favoring Vortex, but they're going for Moravanka Ghost Town, whereas Curillo is going for Cliff and Ensk, which are those smaller maps where the reactions matter a lot as well, and then just, you know, individual calls and playing together as a team. So quite interesting to see this sort of switch up, but maybe Curillo have something cooked up, because if we've seen anything throughout this season and also past Onslaught seasons, cooking sometimes can be absolutely spicy. And personally, I don't eat spicy, but I love when people cook in OLS.
It's fun to watch Master Chef in his element, and we've seen that many times. Cliff and Ensk, like you said, both interesting picks. I didn't really recognize that, obviously, until you pointed it out. But typically, these are very high skill, high coordination maps. You have to be on point, quick rotations, good teamwork. So that is interesting, like you pointed out, for the underdog to be picking those maps. But at least for the viewers at home and for us, there are going to be some fun games that be had here.
Exactly. I think we are going to be starting soon with the action. Just some more things to solve, apparently, in the lobby. But yeah, going a bit deeper into this, Moravanka, I mean, we just saw 2 extremely quick rounds on Moravanka, obviously, where, well, W ended up looking not that great, and to be honest, it is 2025, and we just saw a triple K91 win 7-0. Like, that's crazy, yo.
Yeah, Armageddon is coming soon. It's the end of the times. But Murrow was just played on stream, so maybe Vortex or Curillo could take some inspiration. We haven't seen a lot of K91s in the past. But
yeah, but then again, to be honest, I think they were maybe watching the match, but at this point in time, I think it's a little late to kind of adjust what you're doing just because you saw something on stream, because realistically, they've probably been training the tactics and the strategies they're going to employ now. They will probably be more aware of something that was done today, but I don't think it's going to be like a humongous impact on whatever they're going to be opening with.
Probably not. I would say never say never. I remember sometimes when I was at LANs, my caller changed things literally at the LAN before the game. So
that wasn't Ferret by any chance, was it?
No, it was wall hacks.
All right, that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, map video. So I think we're just about ready to hop into game number 1, and obviously it's going to be Moravanka. For me, the biggest question personally is going to be how much of a switch up is it going to be in between like OLS and OCS pace wise?
Right, OLS teams, they're playing every single day, probably in trainings, their match days. They take it very seriously. So they're coordinated, they're fast, they know all the positions. It could be a big change in pace, but it doesn't mean that these OCS teams aren't capable of making plays. And I know that's not what you're saying, but these teams are good. And I'm sure if any of us were to gather a team and try to play them, we would probably lose. So
we would probably get our butts whooped back into the garage really quickly. But yeah, well, first of all, I think you're also competing in the OLF, so the North American part. Obviously, best of luck for that to you. But yeah, prediction-wise, we're all kind of on the Vortex train, although Phil is the odd one out, and quite literally, because he is predicting 5-3, whereas all of us are saying 5-2.
That's right. I looked at past matches between Vortex and Curillo, and it seemed like they were all pretty commanding, the wins that Vortex had. So that's why I kind of went with 5-2, and I stole your prediction as well. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't worry. In German, we have a proverb saying the most sincerest form of flattery is imitation.
Well, I can't grow another 4 more inches, but...
All right, let's head into game number 1 of the OCS semifinals. And we see Curillo coming in with an IS-7, an E50M, double 430U, a Bliskowitzer, a Foshby, and an RHM.
And for Vortex, 1 Batchat, an E50M, a CS, which is a Hurricane, Leo, and 3 light tanks, EBR and 2 RHM panzers.
All right, so Vortex maybe taking a little bit of W inspiration here, although W were a bit more cooking with 4 lights, although we did see in one of the past playdays how that can fall apart, actually. So this is maybe why Vortex also added that additional E50M to have a bit more firepower. Now, though, the information tower getting contested by 2 tanks and the Foch B actually trying to do a shield for the RHM. It ends up working out. They get the complete information. Plane immediately going down, spotting the Hurricane, the Batchet, and the Leo. Auslander with that IS-7 immediately trying to get close to provide the spots, but he is getting punished for it.
Yeah, and this also looks a little scary for Vortex. They see Curillo's full rotation coming out. A lot of tanks spotted to come into this push. They're going to have to turn and run, put their tail between their legs, and they're trying to get out of dodge. They don't have much room to run. This is kind of reminiscent of W's game when they were running away with all their light tanks. Some damage coming out into Love in the E50M, but these Vortex tanks just have to get some space. They're very light. They need to play range.
Indeed, and they're trying to scatter to the winds, and at this point in time, kind of successfully so, even though Flappy takes another one on the way out. A strike does go down as well. It connects on 4 tanks, so that's 1,200 damage as well. And for now, Vortex seems to be able to build the space that they want at this point in time as well. The HP almost, but not quite even. Impact, though, should be running in his Leopard 1 because that is a yellow tsunami rolling his way as the plane is going to spot attractive in the Hurricane. No sniper support going to be coming in, and Love with that E50M turned machine gun by the ability. X marks the spot. He's coming in and looks to be getting the first kill of the game, not before eating a strike, however, to the face. And Lightweight Baby down towards a 2-shot as well. Not looking good for some of the Vortex tanks.
And a missed strike, but some tanks may get out, but 2 of them are not, and that's a big pickup for Curillo. HP's heavily in Curillo's favor as well. A lot of light tanks, they're able to find this Foch B potentially in middle, but it's maybe a little too late to come back into this game for Vortex.
Yeah, Loop getting picked up by Elias in that E50M, but as the dust settles, we have 3 tanks down by the team of Vortex, also 4,000 HP discrepancy, and now Curillo, they're not looking to stop, they just need to keep this rolling, although Paradise takes a bit of damage to the face, but I think at this point, with still 2 light tanks out of the 4 remaining tanks for Vortex, the firepower might just not be there.
Might not be there. We can probably mark the scorecard off already. It is a 4K HP advantage, and Ilias is picked up. All Curillo really has to do is just keep driving in at this point. Herman getting tracked. That was a nice shot from Movi. And a plane coming out. He sees the 430U striking, picked up as well for Curillo. At this point, all Vortex can do is maybe buy time in case it matters for tiebreaker. But they are definitely out of this game.
Yeah, and another kill coming through now. Those are the last dying moments in round number 1 for the Vortex players. So that means for now, actually, the underdog team of Curillo is opening up strong. This is not going to be a walkover, at least not for Vortex.
Not yet, right. And 1 tank remaining for Vortex. So a good, strong start from Curillo. I've brought it up a few times, but that momentum is really important. Here comes Paradise with the finish and a strong statement saying, Curillo to Vortex, we are here and we're able to take some points from you.
Yeah, and I think it is very important to point out that this LT strategy that we saw work once in between the match W against Hit, obviously this wasn't with 4 but with 3 lights, but I think it's fair to say the idea is kind of the same thing. As soon as teams just discover that they can just drive at the light tanks and they won't be dead before they reach them, that is kind of scary. Now there is obviously space for more cooking with this. You could add something like a Grilla, for example, where all of a sudden the firepower is amplified and you take 1,000 damage to the face, stuff like this. But as of right now, I think teams faced with a strategy like this, they have found a good way to counter it.
Once the jig is up that the other team has 3, 4 light tanks, like you said, they know they just have to drive in. A lot of that play with the light tanks is just trying to take positions and control of the map before the team finds out they have to drive into you. But once they find out they have to drive into you, it's a hard game. And you can see RHM only able to get one shot of damage from Vortex, one of them. It's a hard game when you have to just be on the run all the time. E50M from Curillo, able to do 5k. That's a lot of impact.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're playing against a light lineup like this, because the lighter the lineup, usually the less HP you have as well to fire at. So 5,000 damage and 2 kills is a pretty good score for Love here. And Curillo, I think, are going to be very happy with how this opened up, because if you lose against something like this, like kind of a rat strategy, as Moff would call it, then you're going to be mostly angry with yourself, because there are ways to beat it, as we have just seen. So if you don't, it's on you, and this means that Curillo have passed the first test, but these trials are going to continue. Best of 9 is a long series.
It is. It's going to favor the strongest team in the end compared to best of 5s like previous seasons or in the first round, for example, of OLS. You know, someone could win that wouldn't win in a best of 7 or best of 9. So in a best of 9, it should be, of course, more clear who the victor is.
I think it kind of demands like different things as well from team. In a best of 5, you kind of have to be good at a couple maps, and if you're lucky enough, I guess, to hit those maps, then good for you. But in best of 9, you essentially need to have a deep pool of strategies, and you need to have some stamina as well, because if we are looking at best of 9s, some of them have gone over an hour in the past, and like at some point fatigue does tend to come in.
Yeah, best of 9s also is just you only have 1 or 2 maps that you don't play. So in that situation, well, it's not only 1 or 2, but only 1 or 2 that you ban. In that situation, you kind of, like you said, have to be diverse, have to be competitive on every single map in the map pool. And that's hard to do. And that's why in a longer series, over time, the more you win that best of 9, I guess, well, what I'm trying to get at is it's really showing who the best team is, you know?
Mm-hmm. Especially considering that the way that some of the maps are played is just completely different from one another. So, like, a Himmelsdorf round, for example, plays entirely differently from, let's say, Sand River round. And that one plays entirely differently to Ghost Town, for example. So, the longer the best of goes, the more different kinds of things are demanded from the players. And I think in that case, also, versatility on the team can be a factor where, you know, if you don't have a lot of light tank players, that can be detrimental. If you don't have anyone that's, for example, comfortable running away and blasting in a T57 heavy, then that can also be problematic. So it is really a big test for both of these teams. Curillo getting in the first punch, but I don't think Vortex are worried, at least at this point in time.
They're sitting still confident, I'm sure, in their game, knowing what they're capable of, knowing that they've beat Curillo in the past multiple times. So they tried something. It's probably the best time to try something now at the beginning, because it was just 0-0. But now coming out, we can see Vortex is changing it up, much heavier. 2 BZ75s, IS-7, Centurion Action X, 2 430Us, and a Foshby.
And for Curillo, we do see the light tank actually, with Morvikas in, the RHM together with a Foshby, double K91, E50M, Batchat, and IS-7. In between both of those lineups, I actually do favor the Vortex one, because it kind of looks easier to execute.
K91s are unique. I've played it recently, and I swear that thing misses so much for having good accuracy. But we just saw Cashback pull it off. So for both teams, looks like Vortex is having a pretty aggressive start. BZ's just driving straight through the middle. Doesn't look like they're going to stop. Both teams are going to be fighting right on the front lines here. Some damage already going to Auslander, and this RHM from Mafia is going to get behind. But is it going to be too late?
Well, the IS-7 double-tracked, held, and now also destroyed. A lot of the Vortex tanks did have shots onto that Soviet heavy tank, and this means that for the remainder of the game, Vortex are going to be playing a man, a gun down, but never mind. As Paradise eagle-eyes it, Ilias falling in that BZ-75 is going to make it a 6v6, and I had kind of the fear that this one was going to be a slow match, but at least the first 2 rounds on Muravanka opening fast and furious.
Yeah, 3 tanks peeking over into this IS-7. Batchat's on reload, but this E50M does have his DPM ability, so he's able to get a shot out every 4 seconds. For the Vortex side, they had radar they picked up, so they saw all 7 tanks, and they've got a strike. So they're pushing actually through the H-line onto the 2 K91s. This IS-7 is going to get picked up by Moby if he pens a shot. There we go. And he's also getting a strike on top of it.
And now we do have 6 tanks of Curillo fighting off against the 4 remaining ones of Vortex. However, Tansov getting a kind of found out in the open. This means that Curillo are now trying to counter-push on towards Andrea and up Force B. But if there is a tank you don't want to push, it might be the Force. But Andrea is reloading and doesn't seem to have the ability active. Finally, it does come out as Templeton bounces one as well. The next shots, though, do end up connecting. And Andrea, he needs to get into the healing part of his ability. He does manage, but gets shut down. Morvikas with another kill.
Shut down, so close to getting enough HP just to survive that, but was not able to. Maybe he was on cooldown and wasn't able to use it in time, but Vortex only 3 tanks left alive, one of them at 4 HP. Curillo is going to be able to pick up these last 2 here now, and this is looking like a strong start for Curillo.
Indeed, Curillo, the underdogs, come in here and take Muravanka very, very clean. Both rounds kind of after the opening, like here, after Auslander died in the IS-7, I was kind of like, oh, that doesn't look good, but then immediately the counter came through, a pickup for the side of Curillo, and from there on out, they just didn't stop. They kept the ball rolling. It turned into an avalanche, rolling over Vortex 2-0. We're looking at the potential of an upset here.
That could be, yeah. I wasn't paying attention to whose map pick this was. Do you recall? Was it Curillo's map pick?
I think probably Vortex. If they're on the left on top of us, normally that means they picked side A. So then they would be first pick.
Okay, so, well, 2-0 is either way. It worked in somebody's favor for the map picks. So hopefully it was not for against Vortex. But as we can see in this damage, and Saturnian Action X was able to get quite a bit. The 430, only 2 shots. It's not very...
I mean, Herman was probably busy spamming pick 2 emotes. And that was why he wasn't able to, connect all his shots properly. But Muravanka, we say it time and time again. For tanks with heat, it's very annoying to play at times. And I mean, on the other side, you see, technically the K91 has heat as well, but he was probably firing APCR throughout the whole game. And above that, RHM, most likely APCR, and Force B definitely using APCR. So, yeah. And my assumption was correct. Vortex ended up losing their map pick 0-2. Now, Curillo had the possibility to extend the lead on their own map pick. However, I mean, comparing to all S teams, there are some hit and run where they lose their own map pick and then they win the opponents. So I think not all is lost quite yet.
Hopefully not, but on Vortex, they may be biting their nails a little bit in this situation. Their map pick against the underdogs, Vortex is the favorite team, and they start off 0-2. That momentum could carry into Cliff. Cliff is a very fast played map. A lot of coordination. We would expect that to be in Vortex's favor, but after this last round, I'm sure we're all kind of second guessing or having some doubts of really where this direction is going.
Yeah, I think I predicted 5-2, so for my prediction to come true, Curillo cannot take another round, but we'll have to wait and see. Cliff, we touched on it. It is a very fast-paced map. A lot of it can be decided on opening. Some of it can be remedied with good calls immediately, like in the early game, upon gathering information, either planing or spotting. But yeah, Cliff is definitely a map where it can turn sideways for either team extremely quickly.
Yeah, as we've seen even in 15-15, we see a lot of games are decided just, as you said, off of initials. At least in Onslaught, you can get some information with the plane. Maybe in 15-15 you have No Fog of War. But that means a bad plane or planing in the wrong direction. You may be missing some critical information. But to start here, for Curillo, they're going to have teams are still changing out their tanks, but they're going to still have, looks like 2 BZs, CS, Hurricane, Cat 91, TVP, and RHM.
And for Vortex, we do see the double B, the BZ, the CS, double E50M, and a TVP.
So Curillo starting with a light tank, at least that means they're going to have some information at the start. Vortex is kind of just going to have to commit to a play, and then the disadvantage of not having light is they have to make a very quick decision once they do spot tanks.
Yeah, then again, I think this W50M, double 50B combination that we see, we've seen it before by some OLS teams using it to blind commit. And as we see here, they're not really going to find a whole lot on that 1-2 line because the majority of the forces of Curillo are actually driving towards the upper side. So now they are going to commit in towards the bottom line. Templeton, I think, does connect a shot or make that even 2. But that is like 600 damage, and the problem is the double CS from Curillo is very close. They could get pushed, but the BZs now boosting over are going to reinforce their medium tanks.
Yeah, and Vortex may not have time to run. This is going to be 6 tanks coming to fight this. This 50B Impact is getting caught out. If these if these Curillo tanks keep peeking, that could be a quick kill on Impact. He's only down to a 1-shot, and Curillo is realizing they just have to commit and over push into these E50Ms. A lot of damage coming out, but it's not yet in Curillo's favor.
It is not yet, but finally the first kill comes through for them to equalize the scoreline in that department, but Tansov just blows up, and now you can see the staying power of that E50M in there. However, Curillo are now trying to push back up from the other side. They recognize we need to take out guns. Auslander shutting down Impact, but Love in turn getting killed by Attractive, and all of a sudden Vortex, it didn't look so good on Moravanka, but it does certainly look better for them on Cliff with the counter push, trying to take out Paradise. Maybe collecting Auslander in the meantime as well. Templeton in the TVP has reloaded, but he's facing against the TVP of his own, so Vortex are going to clap back.
And Paradise goes down, Auslander will go down, Templeton is on a 1-shot. Movie is going to be the only one left, but this is absolutely going to be a pickup for Vortex, which honestly kind of surprised me. I thought that cross to the donut from Curillo looked really strong. With, I think maybe the issue is they stopped on the corner of the donut, but they had 6 tanks there before Vortex was able to bring their tanks in from middle. I'm not really sure what went wrong, honestly.
I think the biggest problem there was that they didn't really manage to take out any tanks immediately, and that meant the 50Bs could clip out. The E50Ms kind of got to start DPMing. Yes, one of them was killed pretty early, but still, the other one survived, and so... the BZ-75s that pushed in, like, they don't have any DPM to completely annihilate the enemy team. And the CSs that are then supposed to provide DPM, they're just so squishy. They just blow up. And then you're kind of left with this awkward combination of tanks that have HP, but, you know, no DPM. And the ones that have DPM but get blown up, so you're left with maybe HP but no DPM.
Yeah, and the TVP... pumping out a lot of damage. This is the second game today we've seen TVP at the top of the scoreboard for both teams. I know a lot of players, they kind of, think the TVP is not a great tank to be played. Honestly, it does have really high DPM. It's similar to a Batchat. Obviously, a Batchat's more favorable in a lot of situations, but a BZ-75 doing 0 damage is just not acceptable in a game like this, especially in a push like that. You should be able to get at least 1 shot.
At least 1 shot, if not 2 of damage. Not entirely sure if that would have, remedied the situation, but I guess shout out to Flappy and Templeton for both being able to bait their own team and get the damage done in the TVP, because I feel like that is kind of the job of the TVP, is you're supposed to bait your own team into shielding for you, and then you DPM. So I guess it's great for accumulating elo in Onslaught. And it's great for accumulating cool-looking scorelines. But more often than not, and especially in like silver or gold lobbies, maybe the TVP player doesn't entirely understand to do it, and then he just ends up looking silly because he blows up.
You're telling me I've been playing it wrong? I've been going in first.
I mean, that is also a way to play for the team, right? But yeah, good job to the TVPs, and overall, Vortex, I mean, finally sort of recovering. Doing an inbuild, doing a hit, losing their own map, starting to come back on the opponents. If anything, being compared to a team like Hit is a good thing normally. So we'll see what round number 4 is going to deliver for us.
Yeah, and in that last game, it was a pretty easy decision. They saw the tanks crossing to the donut. They realized they have to just go fight that. I think Curillo, going back to it, they didn't really have to cross into the donut. They got the hill pretty much for free. They could just hold middle, and the tanks from Vortex would be stuck in the donut. So I think Curillo could have just honestly sat there. Getting uphill for free with RHM was huge. It was a really big play. And this is, like you said, Cliff, fast-paced game. It's going to be up to the team who's got the better team cohesion and stronger players. And maybe that's what we just saw here from Vortex.
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, in this best of 9, there is space for both of the teams to kind of make mistakes and come back after those. And I think for Vortex, definitely the opening rounds on Muravanka kind of were just that. And now we'll basically have to see if Vortex are able to completely turn it around. Because I think both of those teams not having a lot of on-stream experience as well. And for them, it might be feeling the same, playing right now. But in the back of their minds, they know that now they're on stream. A lot of people are watching and probably judging as well, as we love to do. So maybe a bit of stage fright coming in there as well. Like Curillo, it started off well, but now you're like, oh, we can also lose rounds. Oh, damn.
It's like the first time when you play on LAN. It's such a different experience for then playing online. Same situation a little bit here. First time playing on stream, in front of so many viewers, there could be nerves there. It's a little bit intimidating. Your mistakes of driving over middle and blowing up without doing any damage is in front of everyone to see, and you can go back and watch it anytime. So those nerves can get the players at times.
Exactly. I think we're just about ready to jump into the next round. We're, I think, just waiting for the map video to come on. But yeah, overall, between both of those teams, what you've seen so far, which one would you prefer?
Curillo looked strong on Muro. I'm still going to favor Vortex because of just the history they have. But so far, Curillo is doing much better than I expected. But I'm going to say Vortex still for the win.
Yeah, especially since in this last round that we saw, I think there was it was a little bit visible how there was better coordination and communication on the Vortex side, at least in that round. Then again, they completely fell apart on Muro. So I think this is already somewhat of a make or break round, and I was quickly getting my hopes up because there was a Type 71, but it got switched away from as Curillo now are going to come in with triple 50B, BZ75s, double CS, and the K91.
And for Vortex, they have 150B, double BZ75s, CS, E50M, FOSH-B, and an RHM. So this time, swapping planes, Curillo had the RHM last game. Now Vortex has it. Plane is dropped. Only 2 tanks spotted, it looks like. But that's still information that only 2 tanks, they assume, are going middle. They missed the Hurricane, so they're going to think that 5 tanks are on the lower side. Vortex is probably going to try the climb now because they saw only 2 tanks are going middle. They know there shouldn't be much punish. And they're probably going to spot this Hurricane on the way up as well. Potentially. But yeah, Herman's just going straight up. Takes 1k damage for it. Not too bad. The position's more important than the HP.
Yeah, I mean, another few shots of damage raining in towards Flappy, but he is already unspotted. So pretty cheap, actually, for the side of Vortex to take the hill here. That's going to be a very strong position to be playing from, but Vortex also has the problem of 2 tanks essentially being stuck on the lower side with Impact and Andrea in the FOSH-B and 50B respectively. They are not going to be able to join the fight anytime soon, and that is kind of why Vortex has a lot of people laying low in the middle of the map, just waiting and not really committing close, as Morvikes is going to boost up as well. 1 shot, make that 2. The tanks from the lower side, 3. That is 1200 damage, but I think it is not enough. He makes it on top of the hill.
That's going to be a hard fight to take, even though they got a BZ up, which is obviously the best hold down tank you can have on the hill at this moment. it's still hard. The HP is pretty close. However, Vortex doesn't have anybody in K5. K5 would give some better angles into shooting the hill. And it looks like Curillo is taking this fight. They do have tanks on the 3 line to be able to shoot this. The BZ is just going to keep peeking in and taking this fight. Damage is coming in from the 2 line. The 50Bs and the CS have angles. This is looking to be in Curillo's favor on the hill here. 1 kill already in from Tanzoff, and just 1 left.
Yeah, just 1 left, and that one is the squishiest tank that you could ever think about. It is the RHM. Movikes with another shot in towards the RHM as well. As Love pulls around the corner with his Hurricane, Herman forced to drop off towards a deeper pocket on the side of the hill. But yeah, the battle on the hill now, 1 for Curillo, and they're not even going to stop here. They see the 50B and the Foshby on the 1-2 line committing in, so they're not going to be receiving that. Instead, they're just driving towards the middle, looking for the knockout punch.
And here comes a strike as well. Pick up from Curillo here as well. 2 line is going to be at least in Vortex's favor, but it's not looking good. E50M left full HP, 5 tanks from Curillo just to drive into that. Curillo is really showing that they're in this series.
Absolutely. I mean, the tanks on the 1-2 line, if you ask them, what did you win 1-2 line and what did it cost you? Everything. Because there is still 6 fighting tanks available for the side of Curillo. Andrea now driving in. You can see he has the ability active, but he probably knows it's all over. The heal, not enough to save him at this point in time. Impact now, I mean, in that 50B, trying to draw out the battle a little bit more. But Curillo are going to be putting themselves in a very advantageous position, 3-1.
I think I've been in some pump games similar to this, where if I was the Vortex team and the guys from the 2 line type, WTF were you doing in middle? How'd you lose that? We won the 1 line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like they were fighting 2v1, and well, obviously you're going to win that fight, but the rest of the map not so much, right? So yeah. Vortex now. I mean, are we starting to get worried here? Because like you can lose a map, but if you split the next one, I mean, in a best of 5. That would already mean you would be out. This is not a best of 5. This is a best of 9. So a bit of breathing room still, but I mean, they need to somehow change something. Because whatever they've been trying up until now, it's not really working.
They needed to get more damage out on the hill. I think the 50B was probably on reload when the CS and BZ from Curillo decided to climb the hill. And that's probably the timing of why they decided to go up at that time, is because they probably assumed the 50B and Foshby were either loading or moved. Getting that BZ on top of the hill sealed the deal. A BZ is just going to keep being able to peek into the CS and RHM, and they have nothing to do. You can't trade against a BZ in an RHM. And we can see it here. 0 damage from Herman. It's a really tough game to be in. So getting on top of the hill is great, but really what Vortex had to do is just probably try to climb with BZs. It's a hard situation. They just need to do something. When a team has Donut and Hill, it's, I'd say 9 out of 10 times going to be a win on Cliff. So you can't give teams both Donut and Hill. You either need to go re-push up the hill or go push Donut.
I mean, that's basically how the angles and the map works, right? There are 2 very important positions, being Donut and Hill, and if you don't have either, then it would be the same thing on a lot of other maps. If you don't have the key position, pun not intended, key positions, then you're going to end up losing. But now, this is going to mean that we are going to continue with Curillo's next map pick, which is Ensk. And Ensk, I mean, thinking back to something like, for example, the Type 5 meta, it was maybe a brain-off map, but nowadays, I think, in 7v7, Ensk is very much a big brain map.
There are a lot of changes too. The trains are opened in the middle compared to the pub map. This is the small version of Ensk, so they don't have all that extra space to play in. A lot more in your face and brawly. So there's a lot more decisions to be made. There's also the cap in the middle of the map, which can spot both sides. So yeah, it is more of a big brain map, and we see it as historically one of the more dominating maps. When a team is good at Ensk, they are extremely good at it. They usually, it's like there's no chinks in their cane, right? Like they just win pretty much every single time they play that map.
All right, now are we going to see any peculiar tank picks here? Because on Ensk we've seen a lot of different tanks being picked. Mostly though on the heavier end. We saw some experiments going around with T-57s as well, but maybe in OCS a different meta has developed that we have not yet seen. Personally, I feel like something like 60 TPs as well could work, but yeah, with the you could also pick an E100 with big gun, to be honest, and then at that point you can also pick an E100 with small gun because it's just better. In my opinion. So yeah, Curillo coming into this one looking to put themselves on towards a match point. One mouse, double T57, a 430U, double Foch B, and an E4.
And for Vortex 2, mouse, a 121B, Batchat, and 3 Foch Bs. 3 Foch Bs is very aggressive. It's pretty common to see that. T57s are nice to play against Foch Bs because that's 1600 damage each. So together 3200, they can pick up a Foch B before it's even able to get out like 3 shots.
Yeah, opening-wise, we see Curillo driving mostly towards the green with the 430U taking the 0 line. They are going to be sort of driving in towards a Foch B trap that is going to have a 1-to-1B to back it up. Kind of, DPM from the back lines that Herman is going to provide. And this is actually something, what Vortex is doing, what we've seen in OLS quite a lot. Double mouse towards the cap, Batchat deep into city to then come and support. And then you have the Foch Bs ready to receive if anyone is going to try something over the green, and that is just about to happen. Now the question is Vortex, is Curillo falling into Vortex's trap, or is it going to be vice versa as the trap gets sprung? Now it's an awkward engagement here because of the very, very small proxy ranges, but in come the autoloaders.
Yeah, and one tank already down. The trap maybe not working out the way they expected it to. These mice are trying to drive in and saying, shoot us, don't shoot the Foch Bs. But that's 5 tanks on top of these 2 Foch Bs, and the Foch Bs are out at shells. They're going to be on reload for a while. So now Curillo is seeing they're going to have to just drive into this 1-2-1B. One mouse already dead. One is left full HP, but Curillo's huge favor. 2 guns up and 2k HP.
Absolutely. Vortex trying to play the trap card, but Curillo instead with the Uno reverse saying, no, we are just going to drive at your Fochs. And then over them, Andrea with the Batchat. Very little to say about how this one's going to go. Someone is going to pick him up. It will be Tunso. 2 quick kills in return, though, for the side of Vortex, but little is it going to matter because all that HP that Vortex still have is on the mouse. They're first going to do the correct thing, which is focus out the Foch B. Elias now at this point also reloading, not able to counter heal against the Foch B. Attractive falling soon after, and just like that, Curillo are going to be making it on match point. It is 4-1.
Yeah, it's not much of a trap. Curillo played their Uno Reverso card here, and having those T57s, I noticed they were able to pick up that Foch B so quickly. So even though there's 3 Foch Bs, it really only looked like 2. We're going to see in these battle results how much damage one of those Foch Bs actually did, but one of them was definitely not able to get out its full clip, and in a trap, that's really not a good situation to be in.
Well, I can tell you how much one of the Foch Bs actually did. 1 shot of damage, lightweight baby, really not having a fun time. And I thought maybe the Foch Bs were going to get a good engagement out of it, but there was still 1 row of unbroken rubble. And because of the close proxy ranges, instead of being able to engage the T57s kind of at a bit of range, the Foch Bs ended up completely being outflanked. And yeah, the Foch B does have good intraclip DPM, but the T57 with active ability, it just beats that. So now Curillo are on match point. The underdogs here really putting on a show.
They are. Match point is a good position to be in. They have the momentum. They can show every map that's played so far. They have something that Vortex wasn't expecting. And I think Vortex definitely felt confident in that trap coming into it. But Curillo seems like they've seen this one too many times on stream. They drove right into where the trap was. Looked like they were fully prepared for that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they had so many autoloaders at their disposal, like T57s and Forge Bs, that they were like, okay, the other team has 2 mouses out of the game. If we push this, there is no possibility for something to be there that we cannot beat. So they just went to overwhelm the maximum 5 tanks, and they knew it was going to be 4, actually, because someone else was picking up a strike in the city as well. So they knew, hey, we're probably going to be playing 6 or 7 versus 4. If we just kill those tanks, then it's impossible to lose. And yeah, so Vortex with that split, ending up baiting themselves. The trap springing into their own faces. It's not a pretty sight to see if you're a Vortex fan, because now things are not going to get easier. Every single mistake they make from now on is going to be the end of their dreams for possibly OLS Season 4.
And soon they may be thinking back to the last games they had, the games at the beginning, and thinking, dang, if only we picked up that first game on Murrow, or if we did this differently. It's, I'm sure, eating a little bit away in their heads right now, even though the match isn't finished. It is 4-1, but being down is not a fun position to be in. I've been in it many times. Now it's going to be a little bit stressful. The nerves are there. Everyone realizes it's match point, and Vortex knows they need to come out strong and win everything else at this point if they want to win this match.
It's do or die for Vortex at this point, and for Curillo, they must be very happy with how the match has been developing so far. Then again, sometimes, the last point can be the hardest one to get. We have seen a lot of teams in the past that looked very, very confident and good until they got to match point, at which, something changed and they ran into like some sort of physical block, some wall, and weren't able to just convert this one final point. Whereas before that, it had seemed so easy. Let's see if Curillo is one of those teams. Maybe Vortex. This is just the additional, kind of inspiration that they needed, like being down to play against the odds and then just beat them. We'll have to wait and see. But as we go into the game, this one might be the last of the day, and the last one for Vortex as well, because Curillo is trying to advance to the OCS finals with double mouse, triple T57 heavy, and double Foch B. Very straightforward.
Vortex with 1 mouse, a Batchat, 430U, Foch B, 3 E4s. Pretty light lineup with 2 mediums. Mediums are, in general, already pretty rare on Ensk. So this could be the last game, as you pointed out. Curillo's opening up fully towards the city. With this much firepower, they're just going to look for an engagement. And Vortex did not see the tanks that crossed. They did have a Batchat do a little scout run here, spots both mice. Probably gives some indication, at least towards what side Curillo's playing. But Herman may be none the wiser. He is still driving in pretty dangerously in the city.
And he did not see the Foch Bs either. Maybe he can hear the things being destroyed, but now Templeton and Herman are exchanging spots. Herman even taking a shot for that one. But yeah, Flappy getting spotted in the Foch B on the 1 line as well, and I think this should mean for Vortex that they kind of need to respond to this. Herman taking even more shots on the cross, another one by the second mouse means that he is now below 1000 HP, and I like the use of the strike. Yes, it didn't do damage, but it's going to destroy a lot of the houses that Flappy was trying to hide behind. He is going to be open to a lot of damage as Flappy gets really held in the open. Yes, Loop took a lot of damage as well, but he is still fully loaded, whereas Flappy is not. He is now reloading, doesn't even get to the recharge for the HP of his ability, and now Vortex are pressured. They need to make a move.
And that kill is so important. That K1 position is a really strong anchor point here, but Vortex is making a repush down the J line. That Foch B is reloading, but he may be reloaded by the time that those tanks actually make it over there. There is a 3k HP advantage in Curillo's favor right now. This mouse from Vortex isn't in a great position. Looks like between a rock and a hard place, but they are making this play on Loop here. E4 is down to a 1-shot. Loop is just about to reload. He's going to be able to get this E4 and start putting out some damage into Impact, but they're not even worried about the E4 because Templeton is coming in. He says, "I've got you, bro." and he picked up the kill.
Indeed. Now, Impact has a Foch B to hide behind, but now Paradise comes in to try and lock one of those mouses in position. Templeton with one more shot is probably going to go down against the E4 as well. It is very messy, but at the end of the day, Curillo still have the tank advantage and also the HP advantage in their favor. Double the HP of what Vortex has at this point, and Paradise just gets to put shot after shot in towards Attractive. Love should be reloaded with his T57 sooner rather than later as well. And as it is a 4v4 now, that is still kind of playable, but not anymore, as Auslander comes in to shut down Attractive. 4 versus 2. Impact taking another shot of damage, and External, I think Curillo have done it. The underdog coming into the OCS semifinals and completely mopping the floor with the favorites. The final scoreline, it's gonna be 5-1 if nothing goes horrifically wrong.
They have done it, and what an incredible feeling that must be to be the underdog and to win 5-1 so dominating. It's gotta feel great knowing that they're gonna have to play Weekend in the finals next. At least they're going into it with some confidence.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Weekend might be a different kind of beast, but at least today, Curillo definitely proved to be the better team. Eclipse still trying to make something happen, maybe with an Amarak, but Tansov says no, he's going to shut it down. He's going to confirm it. Congratulations to Curillo for locking in their spot in the finals of tomorrow. And for Vortex, it's kind of back to the drawing board. They had a good OCS season, but just like in OLS, if you don't perform in the playoffs, then it's not going to carry you.
Then you lose. It's over. Yeah, once you lose in the playoffs, you're out. So now Vortex, we say goodbye to them for this season. They had a good overall performance. But yeah, sometimes in the playoffs, the unexpected can happen. And that's what we just saw here. Curillo massively underfavored in this matchup and overperformed, I'd say. Well, I don't know if I wouldn't say that in a negative way, but they performed very well.
Exactly, or maybe Vortex underperforming, who knows. Let's first of all take a look at the post-battle results for either team. And I think in this last round here, very good reactions coming out from Curillo, especially the strike that didn't end up doing damage on the Foch, but like removing the cover. It's a pretty cool way to use a strike. And yeah, it ended up winning them that corner of the map, from which, I mean, they sacrificed a lot of HP to get it done. But from there on out, I think there was no real way back into the game for Vortex.
I like seeing that strike. I also like seeing the Foch B cross on the one line. He had his ability popped, so he was able to take the shots on the cross and then get most of his health back, and then take the fight against, I think it was Flappy in the Foch B in K1. So I also really like that play as well. Overall, it's very tactical. Both Mouse sitting on the cap, able to see the bat shot crossing. That was unfortunate for Herman. That was also a good play. Just looked really strong overall for Curillo. They deserved it. And here's the tournament bracket for OCS playoffs. As we can see, that was the semifinals between Curillo and Vortex. Curillo's advancing to the grand finals, where Weekend has been waiting for their opponent. So that match will be to come in the future.
Exactly, and Weekend, I mean, for them so far, it was very, very smooth sailing throughout the regular season of OCS. And now also just the waiting, but Weekend was probably hoping for a little bit of a closer scoreline, just to maybe see more tactics being used by Vortex and Curillo. And, I mean, them probably also expecting to be playing Vortex. Now they will have just about 24 hours to prepare for that. Because we are going to show the OCS Grand Finals on the stream tomorrow. But yeah, that is going to be it for the action today, for the World of Tanks Onslaught action. So now it is, I guess, kind of up to me to first of all thank you, and also thank Ducky for being here with me casting as well. Now, however, first we are going to see the updated standings in the OLS as well. Hit and Cashback, nothing really changing there. Both of them winning their matches cleanly today. Pretty cleanly. Cashback 4-2, Hit 4-0. Mafia also with the clean victory 4-0 is in third place. W are now in the space that made them win the Season 2, which is fourth. And then Darkside and Yogurt still 1 point apart, trying to fight it out for place number 5, which is requalification for next season and also money, but for both of them, it's kind of looking grim to be making it further into playoffs, possibly.
And a 4-loss streak for Darkside, W on a 3-loss streak. That's pretty rough as well. Yogurt, we've seen come out and at least have some more upsets, I'd say, overall. Winning against Cashback. Was it Cashback? Yep. Either way, Yogurt's had some pretty big upsets. So, good luck to them in the future. And here are our play days. So the next stream will be tomorrow, the 18th. So make sure to catch that.
Exactly. Hopefully we'll have some awesome matches tomorrow, and then you can see the next week is going to be the last and final week of the AMD OLS Season 3, where we'll have a stream on Tuesday, Thursday. Both of those are going to be at 16 UTC, which is 18 CEST. And then the Saturday and Sunday streams also for tomorrow is going to be at 14 UTC. That's 16 CEST. Obviously quite a bit earlier. Maybe you have it in your head at what time for you we started today. You can say it in NA times.
Started at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, yo, Jesus.
So set your alarms early if you're on the West Coast, boys.
All right, but yeah, as I said already, thank you very much for casting with me today. Thanks also to Ducky for doing that. Talking about Ducky, if you weren't able to finish your OLS drops for the OLS tokens, we are going to rate him after this is done, so there you can keep claiming the drops, and please be nice to him, chat. That being said, thank you very much. Have a good one. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Miriam.
Babylon, Smith speaking. We captured Ramfalte successfully, but it seems that we stirred up a hornet's nest. We're being chased by several dozen echo tanks.
Isn't science fascinating?
Moving to the extraction point. Babylon, do you copy? We're approaching. Open the portal. Now there's too many of them. Where's the portal? Babylon, do you copy?
Sign up to volunteer for Last Stand.
Seems that extraction is delayed. Okay, we'll wait. Keep on working, guys.